What's up, y'all? This is Cameron, and welcome to Operation Wisedome, which is powered by power inherent in the people. Today is Wednesday, September the 10th, the day after 999. Such a beautiful day as far as portals being opened and awakening being blessed upon me. And today we got some craziness going on. I think we got this girl named Jasmine who wants to come through, and she's got something special for us. I guess she's just going to run us through everything that she got. And I'm very excited because this is a Wisedome member who is coming out and wanting to really just showcase what she got to bring forth, and I'm pretty stoked about that. And what I wanted to do first is like we normally do. We go through pretty much, well, we just do all the intros, of course, and then see who's new, because we want to be able to introduce our new people. And I think I already see one, and I might be saying it wrong, but I think it's Nakaya. Is that how I say it? Okay. Nakaya, won't you unmute and introduce yourself as far as who you are, where you come from, and then like how you found this?
I wish I remember how I found y'all. You just appeared 2 or 3 days ago, and I like the vibe. I like the vibe. I'm in Ohio, so I went back and listened to a couple of videos and was listening to Jasmine, and I appreciate what you were saying. There are a couple other Ohioans as well. I'm here because I've been studying these things for the past handful of years, but 3 months ago I got stopped in a city, and I don't know. The further I get into this, the more confused and more clear I become. But I'm here because I want to keep going with this process. I'm in court. There's a warrant out. It's very exciting in my world right now. But I do believe that this is part of what I've been leading up to in part of my life. So I want to stick it out and contribute to this mission. So that's my ramble. Thanks for being such a group of your energy just feels really clear. I've been in a lot of spaces with a lot of funky energy, and the energy here seems to be pretty clear. So I appreciate that.
Don't get it twisted. I can go back to the 70s and get a little funky. You know what I'm talking about?
Sure.
Check it. Everybody unmute and say welcome, Nakaya.
Nakaya, welcome, honey.
Welcome, Nakaya.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
Welcome.
Which part of Ohio?
Welcome. You'll fit right in.
I am near Dayton, like between Dayton, Cincinnati and Columbus.
I'm actually down towards Cincinnati.
Right on. Yeah, I recognize your voice, Jack.
Yeah, hit me up in Discord. We can chat.
Jack's all about chit chatting in Discord and DMs. Chill, Jack. Yo, so who else is new here for the first time? Going once? Going twice? You don't get to talk. So what I wanted to get into just real quickly, my dog bite finally closed out, and my boy ain't even charging me either. He said, we just gonna give you the fees and help you out, bro. We gonna give you all that. I said, that's what's up, my nigga, what's up? So yeah, my boy, you know what I'm saying? I got an attorney who work my shit, and we got so cool that he's just like, yeah, bro, we just gonna throw you everything. We'll just get the fees out real quick that we had to pay. You can take the rest. It's like, yes, nigga, let's go. Don't fucking look like that. I don't know why you're looking like that. Okay, so then, so anyways, that's pretty cool. So we finally got that closed out. So that's gonna actually help in relation to traffic law reform. So what we're gonna be able to do in that aspect is put some money towards the traffic law reform, focus on that more to where we can start sending out proper letters, get the stamps, get the approval, start trying to reach out, because what my main goal has been is I need to pay somebody to do this. I don't have the time. So I need to pay someone to be able to do the research, send out the emails, find all the representatives, and really push traffic law reform forward some. We can see what's going on today. I want to actually take a moment of silence. I want to take a moment of silence real quick for what happened today. If y'all are not aware of what happened today, is anybody aware? Does anybody know what's going on?
Yeah, we know.
I don't.
You don't know anything about what's going on?
Saw it in the Discord.
No, what happened?
Okay, Charlie just got assassinated.
Who's Charlie?
Who's Charlie?
Y'all,
Charlie
y'all-
Kirk.
Y'all know about Charlie Kirk?
Oh,
Yeah, homeboy just got literally assassinated. And what was
What's that?
Yeah, bro. And what was crazy is they was just asking about mass shootings, right? And the question literally was, what about mass shootings? And he gave an answer, and dude literally got sniped. Like it was a far ass one shot right to the neck.
Gotta meet the guy, but I
And,
wanted
that's
to.
the kind of who keeps doing that? Who is doing that? You know what? Mute all. Uh, yeah, he got sniped, and that was a real trip because anytime anybody's doing something to go against the system in any way, you're putting yourself at risk. You know, for real, for real. If you got like a movement and you getting people to stand up and empower themselves, it's a little dangerous. I ain't gonna lie. And seeing that today kind of just puts it into perspective a little more. Am I scared? Do I fear anything in life? I don't fear a motherfucking thing. You ain't ever gonna see me fear nothing. And you always see me stand up to these cops. I ain't scared, but at the same time, it's recognition and a moment for silence for Charlie Kirk, real quick. We may not all agree with other people's points and views, and that's okay. You don't, have to. But to take a life because of those views is insane to me. And to see a lot of the comments that I'm seeing from people in relation to some of the social media posts in regards to Charlie Kirk is pretty fascinating because it just shows you how sick our country really is. And we need a lot of help in this country. We need restoration of God. We need restoration of a lot of things. Just compassion and cure, empathy. There's some sickness in this nation that we got to cure, and I think how we cure it is by continuously loving. I know a lot of the times is we get attacked and we just want to attack back. It's just part of who we are as far as the human animalistic side of us. But at the same time, if you can reach down and just take that one quick moment to have empathy and compassion, and just take a step back real quick and just be a lot of the times I want to be attacking people in the comments when they go off on me. And I'll just be like, you know what? I appreciate your perspective. Maybe you could come listen to mine a little bit further, in the Discord. But I always thank them because it's just a perspective, right? And yeah, so I'm gonna leave it at that on that one. Does anybody have any updates before getting into the infamous Jasmine tonight, as far as updates or just something they briefly want to talk about, or no?
Cam, I would like to say something, if you don't mind.
Okay, you want to
I
come
just
on?
wanted to say, no, not really. But this
Okay.
is for Charlie. I want to elevate his spirit to greatness with love always flowing.
Yeah, cheers out to Charlie, man. First ahead in this family.
Yeah, everybody can unmute and say, rest in peace, Charlie.
rest in peace, Charlie. We
Rest in
love you,
peace,
bro.
Charlie.
Rest in peace, Charlie.
Yeah, it's a tough situation, man, to see what happened like that. That was man, that was a crazy image to see. I was just like, wow, that's wild. And see it on YouTube or Instagram like that, I was just like, man, whoa, dude just got sniped. Dang. So yeah, pretty crazy. Anyways, elevating back up the mode because we are in greatness. We have to continue on the fight. No matter what happens, you got to keep going. And we have a controversial Jazmane. Jazmine is a recent Wisedome member who has come in and has caused some controversy all over the place. I love it because it's stirred up the vibes a little bit. Yeah, I like to stir up the pot a little bit, And
And what's the controversy? I don't remember controversy by
Jasmine.
her.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of controversy around Jasmine.
I loved it. I love her. I think she's well, I'll wait and see.
Yeah, I love Jasmine too. She does great. And but she's she's causing a controversy. So.
I don't know, but I'll find out.
Okay, so Jasmine, what's up? Unmute. Let's go. What you got for us? You riding it tonight.
All right. Hello, everyone.
Grand evening.
Grand evening, Jasmine.
Good evening,
So,
Jasmine.
what I'm going to do, and I'm actually going to be playing one of my more recent court hearings that I just did. I'm not perfect. I'm not gonna even sit here and act like I am. I stumble through my words, I fumble around, but I also don't sit there with a paper in front of me. So like, I'm really just trying to get comfortable with actually saying the words so they believe in what I'm saying. So that I'm actually present in the moment and actually there to listen to what they're saying. But I ain't gonna talk too much. I'm just going to play the video. Feel free to say whatever, because I don't mince words myself. So if you have any advice and want to offer it, I'm more than willing to hear. I know at some point I did something wrong, which I'm feeling like the thing that I did wrong was allowing the judge to reserve ruling on my motion after the trial. But I'm gonna let y'all hear it. So give me a second. I'm going to share can I share my screen?
Yeah,
I can. Okay. Oh wait, I think I did that wrong.
Nah, you're good.
I don't think I shared the sound.
Oh yeah, just push share again and then do it one more time. You'll see share sound. Just push share again, you'll see it.
Okay, I got it.
Okay.
Going over Mark Lane, free and
Can you guys hear it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really loud.
I don't have a docket today, so I'm doing this just for you.
thank you.
You're very welcome. Mr. O'Shea, there's a motion to dismiss. If you
What did you say?
Turn it down just a hair.
No, not just a hair. You turn it down halfway first, and then we'll see if we need to take it up.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, hold on.
Whoa. Versus Jasmine Preston, is that correct? Is it Jazmane?
That's fine.
Jasmine?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And we're here on a charge of expired plates, to which Ms. Preston enters a plea of not guilty. The matter is scheduled for trial today. The speedy trial issue, as far as there was no time waiver. That's why I don't have a docket today, so I'm doing this just for you.
Hello.
You're very welcome. Mr. O'Shea, there's a motion to dismiss. If you could have an opportunity to receive a copy of the same and review it. Your Honor.
Hey, go down just a little bit more, Jasmine. It's still clipping out a little bit.
And Noah, don't be unmuting and making a whole bunch of noise, or I'm gonna just kick you, bro.
Is that better? What are you gonna Is that better?
And I'm gonna have Ms. Preston.
You could go down a little bit. All right, dude, gotta go. Nothing play.
Yeah, please go down.
Is that better?
Ms. Preston, if you want to address the court relative to the points of your motion.
There you go.
Just mute up and continue with this?
That's good, bro. That's good, Jasmine.
You can hear.
Yes, so my motion to dismiss was on the basis that I'm not saying that the law overall is unconstitutional.
Yes.
I was just saying that as far as the application of the law was improper. And that's because I know that motor vehicle laws have been under reconstruction since the overturning of the Chevron doctrine. It's my understanding that that is what gave the BMV the power to, clarify ambiguities under the law in regards to motor vehicles. So I'm basically saying that since the Chevron doctrine has overturned, it now puts the court in the position of judicial review to make sure that the application of the motor vehicle, the term motor vehicle was supposed to be all-encompassing, including my automobile. Now, as far as the cases that I did present, the City of Dayton versus DeGrosse actually defined or had distinguished that there is a difference between motor vehicle and automobile, and that an automobile is self-propelled. And based on the new legislation with House Bill 54, it shows that under the term bus, it defines it as a motor vehicle or an automobile used for hire. So just based off that definition, it's clear that the legislature did intend to include the word automobile under motor vehicle. And just because the term motor vehicle can be ambiguous and not easily to be able to be read by the general public. It is my understanding that it could fall under the void for vagueness doctrine as expressed by Colander versus, it's in my document with that.
The bar exam is being administered right now as we speak.
Is it really? Okay. So,
Wait a second. What is he? Jasmine.
With that, I yield.
Jasmine.
That was sarcasm, but it was also important.
Yes,
What was he trying to say there? What was he trying to say there? I don't think it was sarcasm. What was he looking at there?
Wait, what happened?
Wrong word.
When he said, there's a bar exam being held right now, what was his facial expressions looking like?
He was smiling at me, actually.
Okay, then he was giving you a positive, he was giving you some love right there. Okay.
Lucky.
Real quick, you said it was void for what? I missed what that
word
void
was.
for vagueness doctrine.
Oh, word for vagueness. I was using the void for vagueness doctrine.
Okay. Void for vagueness doctrine. Okay.
Yeah.
Which just, falls in line with rule lenity,
Yeah. Okay.
Before. Objection.
Hold on.
If I'm not, I think I did read that.
Sorry, I think I messed up.
With what?
Was that where you guys were at?
Yeah, that's fine, I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
You can back up a few if you want.
Figure it out.
One's own faculties. I think that was preterm versus Cleveland, or
Sorry.
It goes over the definition of liberty, so my document again. And it just basically says that I have the right to be free in my faculties unless there's a public safety issue. And as far as I could tell, my expired plates was not a public safety issue. So that's why I'm saying that the statute and its application to me traveling in my automobile is unconstitutional as applied.
Very good. Thank you. Mr. O'Shea.
Judge, the 8th District Court of Appeals has already addressed all of these issues. Way back in 2017, I'll cite the case, Shaker Heights versus Brandon Prophet Elbey, E-L-B-E-Y. Case number was 104236, citation 2017-Ohio 929. So it's well set of case law that police officers in cities of like Rocky River have the jurisdiction and the ability to cite somebody for expired plates. And with that, I yield the floor.
Objection. If I'm not, I think I did read that case, the Shaker Heights versus Elbey, and I believe it's a sovereign citizen case. Is that correct?
It fell into the part of the argument that Mr. Elbey had made was that he had the right to free travel and that the
Pause it.
regulate the travel and basically.
This motherfucker don't know the case.
He don't know the case.
No, he don't. You can tell he don't
Yep.
He's just remembering that one little blip that he read somewhere.
Jasmine bust him out.
I'm telling you.
See,
So
that
what
is why.
happened was, so I'm not going to say that the judge, because that was the judge responding to me. The judge was responding to me, basically telling me like what the kid, like how he was trying to infer what the prosecution was trying to say, but to make it, didn't want it to appear on the record as if the prosecution was just basically calling me a sovereign citizen without calling me a sovereign citizen.
Jasmine, can I make a point here? Cameron, they never really know their citations, A, and B, each and every time it is absolutely safe, I have found, to declare whatever the truth is you need to be heard. It's like, well, I hear that that was a case, but they in no way considered the nexus of whether that person was actually contracted or not within the DMV.
I like
they
that.
didn't consider this. They're no, and that guy's gonna go. None of that was considered. So the case is again ambiguous still.
So
I have no
actually,
nexus. Right.
So I don't know if you guys want me to pull up the case so we can like kind of briefly talk about the case. Do you guys want me to do that?
Yeah, mix it up however you want. It's cool.
All right. So
I just want to real fast just throw out a tidbit for everyone from Doc Graves. One of the things he talks about is if you really want case law to be powerful and have the ability to do so, you should file a copy of that actual case law into the court as well, along
Okay.
with your documents where you quote it.
So do it like as an exhibit?
Yes, as an exhibit.
Okay.
Yep.
Actually, I don't know if this is true, but it does say when you like put case law, like when you actually attach the cases, the case citation should be enough because they have the ability to look it up. When you start attaching a bunch of extra stuff like case files and stuff along with your documents, they kind of start to look at it that as like a, what is it, vexatious litigant or whatever, and that you're over filing and stuff like that. So I would just be leery about that.
What I was actually more saying is not necessarily as an exhibit, but bring it with you so that way if the judge questions it as if they don't know what it is, you can pull it out of your files and hand him a copy of it so that they can read it themselves.
Okay.
So,
put them on check. Put them on check on the spot.
That sounds like a powerful maneuver. That's a power move. Yeah, I like it.
What was it called? Oh yeah, El Bay. Because I'd be looking at. I think I actually shared it with the group. El Bay versus Shaker. Okay, so gonna kind of briefly go over some of the things. So basically, this was a person who alleges a lot of the sovereign citizen theories. But I would say he does it improperly, and they kind of go through how he messed up and why certain references that he's making don't apply to him. So he said he claimed the status of the U.S. citizen, proof of a contract with the state of Ohio, display of driver's license, and things like that. So those are some of the assignment errors that he did. Now they said he doesn't dispute that he violated the Shaker Heights codified ordinance. However, he apparently contends that he is exempt from compliance with the ordinance because he is a national of the basically, I think that's the Aborigines. I don't know, the original people. He was claiming he was a part of the Moorish Nation.
Yeah.
And he was a Moorish American and not a 14th Amendment citizen,
Right.
U.S. citizen or Ohio citizen. So he's like, I'm not a citizen at all.
Right.
And that is because he had no valid contract with the state of Ohio or the United States that gives anyone jurisdiction over him. And he's not subject to the de facto colorable law or jurisdiction of the United States or the statutes, codes, and ordinance of the state of Ohio, and cannot be ticketed for traveling on his own land. He argues that he was not required to display an Ohio license plate on his vehicle because the display of the state of Ohio license plate is not mandatory in his own nation, and that his nation has its own indigenous traveling plates, which he contends were on his vehicle at the time he received the citation. Ellsbay's arguments are meritless. So this is just how the courts are seeing it. Take it with a grain of salt, because I know a lot of people have their own personal views. Now, how I like to look at case laws, I like to see how do the courts actually view certain things that they're saying. What are some of the things that they do to poke holes in what they're saying? So they talk about and they go through how they don't, they reject a lot of his claims. They reject that the court lacked jurisdiction, because he's a sovereign man, a resident alien to the federal United States and the state of Ohio and Warren County. Said the Ohio Revised Codes and any applicable criminal statute apply to all individuals, regardless of citizenship or non-resident alien status. So they're basically saying, regardless of how you are identifying, you don't even have to be from the United States or be legally allowed here. The codes still apply when you're on the land. Talks about as a sovereign citizen, secure party creditor, flesh and blood human being, that person is not beyond the jurisdiction of the court. And these theories shall be rejected summarily. However, they are presented. So that's why a lot of times you go into the court, they're not offering any explanation as to why they're just dismissing your claims. There's already case law that says that they don't even have to address them. They're going to automatically deem them as frivolous. They don't have to go into that. Now, it also talks about how the United States doesn't recognize the Moorish nation as a sovereign state. He is a self-proclaimed public minister or counselor, and cannot unilaterally bestow sovereign immunity upon himself. Therefore, the party's purported status of Moorish American citizen does not enable him to violate state and federal laws without consequence. So they're
Wait a
targeting
second,
him.
though. They said state and federal laws, though.
So it doesn't enable him, meaning he can't just violate state and federal law. So they're if you look at the words that they're putting in quotes, he's claiming to be a private citizen, but he's a minister and he ministers to the public. And so they're like, how are you going to be a private individual and at the same time you're a public minister? The two are conflicting. And then another thing that they point out is that he has a state ID. Let me see, where did it go? Blah, blah, blah.
You can do Control F and type in state ID.
Hey, what's the definition of an individual? That's a major importance when it's set up there that all statutes, codes, and policies apply to all individuals.
That's true, but let her just go and keep into identification card right now, not too much.
Wait, I'm sorry, what'd you say? I missed it.
Oh my gosh.
He's trying to get you off topic.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
trying to
okay.
get you off topic. Yeah, just
All right,
Oh,
okay.
it's trying to say it when it came up, but everybody else, it kept going down and down and down.
So here it says Elbay has asserted that the city could not exercise jurisdiction over him because he did not have a contract with the city or state in the form of an Ohio driver's license or Ohio license plate. This claim is disingenuous. At oral argument, Elbay acknowledged that he had an Ohio license plate on the front of his vehicle at the time he was stopped, i.e.,
that's
that
one.
he was cited for the absence of a valid rear license plate and that he had an Ohio identification card, which he uses for the purpose of convenience, such as establishing a checking account. Appellant is oddly selective in his acceptance of government rules and regulations.
Okay, now wait, what does this do here? It establishes what we just spoke of in our last episode, which is what starts with the R. Every state has a rebuttable presumption.
Resident.
Residency. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. He is presumed a resident because he has not rebutted that presumption.
Minimal contacts.
Minimal context. Thank you. Go, Jack. Go, Jack. All right, go, Jack.
Yes. So he talks about the fundamental rights. So they also get him procedurally, basically saying that procedurally it was improper because he didn't raise these defenses prior to entering a plea. So that was another reason. And then they talk about why they didn't have to.
That's a bullshit reason right there.
Well, that's a reason that isn't very important, though, if you really think about it. It's like, nigga, you didn't bring up these issues before you made a plea.
That's why they want you to plea right away.
That's why they want you to plea right away. Yes.
Correct. So he didn't raise these issues prior to entering a plea or before trial. So a lot of these issues have to be raised before you even go to trial. So that's why it's really important for you to file your motions, file stuff with the court, or at least mention it on the record and allow them to know that you're challenging the statute and how you're challenging the statute.
Now, how would you do that though? You can't just submit motions and just hope that they answer. So what
I have done, I'm gonna be honest, they kind of just like bully me a little bit, just a little bit.
Okay.
So I filed a motion to dismiss and they get me procedurally, like this judge here. I made a claim in my documents that it was a violation of my due process rights for you guys to go ahead and proceed to trial. And I filed a motion. I'm not really getting time to be able to, properly argue these facts in the proper venue. And the prosecutor isn't allowed enough time to respond, and I'm not able to we're not able to actually engage prior to going to trial is what I was arguing. I pretty much requested as a form of relief to request a continuance for the trial, because a lot of times they like to say, oh, well, speedy trial is an issue, so we have to get this on the docket. However, every time you file a motion in Ohio, I can't speak for other places, in Ohio, every time you file a motion, that actually tolls the speedy trial, meaning it pauses it.
Yep.
So when they try to use that as an excuse, oh, no, you need to waive it. Well, I filed a motion, so currently it's tolled until we reach a conclusion for this motion.
So a toll is a pause, and a stay is a stop, correct?
A stay like of a judgment?
Well, just like a stay of the proceedings. So you're speaking of a toll in the proceedings.
Oh, okay.
Pause, and a stay is a stop.
Correct.
It's
Yeah.
temporary stop though.
Well,
it can be a temporary stop. So like you might,
until a resolution is made on whatever you're seeking, correct?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Got a question.
Okay, as long as it's not off topic too much, because I swear you take us off topic, bro, and I have to keep us focused. So,
Well, just the paragraph before up there was talking about that the defendant has to follow, hasn't brought up all this information. But my question is, by what authority does the sovereign have to apply to civil procedures?
that's the rules of the court, bro.
So here's the thing. I want people to look at it like this. You can't just go into the NBA and play by your own rules and expect to be able to win the game. They have rules set in place so that they have guidelines so that they can be able to regulate what's going on, so it's fair for everyone. If you allow people to just do whatever, say whatever, whenever they want to, it would be chaos. People would be filing things shortly before trial, and then they would have to delay trial again. So they have these things put in place so that they have a reasonable time to make decisions on certain things that are filed within the court prior to trial and to keep things moving.
Yes, there's a structure. There's a structure to the process. And again, I don't want to get off topic. Jasmine.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to the video or the audio. Hold on.
Interrupt your argument. The crux of your motion to dismiss is based upon the judges doing the Court of Appeals. Interrupt your argument. The crux of your motion to dismiss is based upon the
Ohio Constitution.
I understand.
Okay.
But the terms of the definition of vehicle and or motor vehicle. Okay. And that you're saying that the way that it is used, it's too vague to define what an automobile, where that falls into, correct?
It's, just based off the case law that I've provided, it does distinguish a difference between an automobile and a motor vehicle. From what I've read in the case, they pretty much said he waived a lot of his rights because he didn't bring up certain defenses prior to entering a plea, which I did.
Oh yeah, I know this is, I'm not on a procedural aspect.
Okay.
Okay, so that's why we are addressing your motion to dismiss.
Okay.
A lot of times those defenses, if you will, are brought up during trial or argued during trial and ruled upon at that time, but I have no issue bringing this up beforehand with the prosecuting attorney, Mr. O'Shea. I'm not sure if you've met.
You're doing good so far.
All right.
Well, I was going to say that it did say that under that it talks about there's no right to drive a motor vehicle. And I understand there's no right to drive a motor vehicle, but there is a difference in the terms, is basically what I'm saying.
Very good. Anything else, Mr. O'Shea?
No, the judge just stand on what I said earlier.
Very good. Did you look at the statute of what you were cited under? That 335.10D. Did you look at the codified ordinances, of the City of Rocky River?
I tried to, and what I saw online, it did say that no vehicle under the city ordinance, from what I can see online. Is that true? That it says no vehicle?
I'll advise you as the section that you've been cited under. Okay, which is 335.10D. It says, no person shall park or operate any vehicle upon any public street or highway upon which is displayed an expired license plate or an expired validation sticker. That's what you're charged with.
Okay.
That's what he has to prove. Okay, now, if you would have looked back in that statute, in section 301.20 and 301.51, they define motor vehicle and vehicle.
Okay.
So that's already readily defined in the codified ordinances. All right. So vehicle means every device, including a motorized bicycle, in, upon, or which any person or property may be transported or drawn upon a street or highway.
Hold on, pause it.
But that doesn't count for a motorized wheelchair.
Yeah, that's some bullshit.
No, it's not. Tell me.
Well, it seems like it.
Tell me, did you attack? Please tell me you clarified the use of his transportation.
I did.
Okay, good. All right, go. Please.
Or an electric personal assistive mobile device, or any device other than a bicycle that is moved by human power. So basically what that does, and the motor vehicle above hand has a bunch of things that they have, and they're like a hole digging machine or well drilling machinery and stuff like that. But underneath the statute upon which you were cited, the word is vehicle, and even on the citation it says vehicle, and then it gives you a year, and the Buick in black, and
yes.
Okay, so
okay, I'm gonna apologize because I didn't know what it said under the statute. Now, what I am going to, or under the ordinance, I am going to say that there will be, I'm going to challenge that there's maybe a conflict with general laws, because under the Ohio Revised Code, it does just restrict licensing and stickers and the validation to motor vehicles. So for the ordinance to then put restrictions on all vehicles, I'm going to challenge and say that that's a conflict to general law.
Okay, so your allegations now is that outside, that the codified ordinances, which the state of Ohio is a home rule state, which means that the cities can adopt their own statutes, okay, or their own rules and regulations. And a lot of times they do just duplicate what the revised code, which is in the state offense. For example, many of the cities, the jurisdiction in our community, which we have 5 cities.
Wait, pause it real quick. I just wanted to shout out my really good close homegirl. I think this is her first time in the Operation Wisedome. I want everybody to say hello, Ginger.
Ginger?
Hey,
Hi,
Ginger.
Ginger.
Hey, what's up, Ginger?
Welcome aboard, hon.
Hi, Ginger.
Hey, Ginger.
Hi, Ginger.
Hi, how is everyone?
What's up, girl? How you been?
Racking up tickets.
Let me know if you need some help. Hey, tell Ish I say what's up. How the baby doing?
She's good. She's eating dinner right now.
Hey, all right, we're gonna keep going. Cool.
Is she in the Discord yet, or do I need to get her link real fast?
I'll give it to her. That's like a homegirl, real life homegirl. I've known her forever.
Okay. I was just gonna say I can do it real fast while you're busy.
Oh, you can if you want, but I'll probably just give it to her later. She might come in, she might not. All right, keep going, Jasmine. Thank you though, earlier.
And their offenses for operating a vehicle while underneath the influence of alcohol. The state offense has a penalty where there's a mandatory 3 days or a driver intervention program. And the majority of our suburbs have the same language except for the fact that they don't mandate the 3 days.
Okay.
Okay? So there's a lot of times that people will get cited underneath the revised code, and then Mr. O'Shea would negotiate, say, hey, look, I'll give you a city code violation, which means, I'm not mandated to give them the 3 days. I can, but I'm not mandated to, like how the state offense does that. Okay? So they have the ability in their own home rule, and this has been debated and charged, and even with the people down in Columbus, our legislature saying, oh, no, you can't do that, you can't force us to do something that we have our own home rule to do, right? But without looking, I bet you that the revised code defines motor vehicle and vehicle in section entitled 45.
Judge, if I can help the court, as a matter of fact, you're absolutely right. 4501.01, subsection B has a definition of motor vehicle that is substantially equivalent, if not almost 100% word for word of 301.20 of the Rocky River Codified Ordinance.
And what about the term vehicle?
Subsection A of that very statute, same thing.
So the state code has the same definitions as to motor vehicle, and then a vehicle being a unit that would, as I stated, transport, upon which any person or property may be transported.
Okay.
So that then, that would include, like, for example, a motorcycle.
Right.
Or, a vehicle, an automobile.
You're talking about a vehicle?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
And that's what you're cited underneath.
Right. So what I'm saying is, I understand that the ordinance of definition of vehicles and the Ohio Revised Code have the same definition for the vehicle and motor vehicle.
Yes.
What I'm saying is that under the Ohio Revised Code, can't think of the specific section, but the section in regards to plates and registration is limited to motor vehicles, meaning they didn't mean to encompass all vehicles when regulating the use of, when regulating registration.
So Shay, can you, for the court's edification, please, can you pull up the state equivalent offense for expired plates?
I could try to.
Because I'm sure that the Ohio State Patrol would be doing that on the turnpike if they pull someone over at that time. We do have a patrol here occasionally because we have 480 and 90, but not in the sheriff, not a lot.
I'm going to skip a little bit because it's just dead because he's looking for it.
Separation. 33.5. I'm going to go to your girlfriend now. All right, good. Have fun over there. All right.
I swear I heard girlfriend in there. That's so weird.
You said what? Sorry, never mind.
I heard it too.
I could have swore I heard him say girlfriend. Something about
Yeah, I was about to play it back so we could hear what they were saying, what they were talking about.
Okay, my bad.
We often, to assist on this very issue, Judge, reference the state statute that corresponds or correlates or is similar to the it references 4549.11. I can pull that one up, and it also references 4549.12.
He looking at it, y'all.
What did you say what statute were?
4549.11.
Now I want to pause just because I want to make sure, do you guys understand what I'm saying? Because I know you guys didn't get a chance to read my motion. So does anybody have any questions about what I was saying when I was saying it's a conflict with general laws?
Can I try and clarify what I think your position is, Jasmine?
Of course, of course.
Yeah. So what it sounds like you're saying is because they're haven't gone all the way back in time for the original legislation to what it really means to state, were they also referring to the purely private traveler, where they actually pulled all the way forward? Are they for sure? Can you demonstrate that they're referring that the automobile for the purely private traveler is exactly the same as a motor vehicle for the statute?
That's what they're alleging. So under the Ohio Revised Code, there's two different definitions. So they have laws that state no vehicle, and then they have laws that state motor vehicle only.
Oh,
so laws in regards to public safety will say no vehicle. So no vehicle can run a red light. No vehicle can drive on the public highways under the influence. But when it comes to like registration, headlights, equipment stuff, that's only for motor vehicles. Why? Because there's a potential that there's no public safety interest attached to it. So there's an implied right that the legislative didn't intend to infringe on the people's freedom of movement, if there was no public safety interest. So that's basically what I'm saying. And by them codifying the ordinance to include all vehicles when in regards to registration conflicts with the general laws or the Ohio
That's
Revised
gorgeous.
Code.
That's gorgeous. I missed that little fine point. Thank you. That's a gorgeous argument. I love it.
Killer.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And can you tell me?
45, 49, 12A, I believe.
That's it, I'm looking at it.
12A. For the record, it does state that no person who is owner of a motor vehicle and a resident of this state shall operate or drive the motor vehicle upon the highways of this state while it displays a distinctive number or identification mark issued by or under the authority of another state without complying with the laws of this state relating to the registration and identification of motor vehicles. And under the Ohio Constitution, I believe it's Article 18, Section 3. It does say that the municipality does have the authority to create their own laws and have their own government, but it does mention that it can't be in conflict with general laws.
All right, Judge, and so also 4503.21 of the Ohio Revised Code is the substantial equivalent of 335.10.
I was led to the wrong section.
I apologize, Judge.
No, that was my fault. What's it? 45?
I'm sorry, Judge. Yeah, 4503.21.
Shall fail to display and again, for the record and on the record, no person who is owner or operator of a motor vehicle shall fail to display in plain view on the rear of the motor vehicle a license plate that displays the distinctive number and registration mark assigned to the motor vehicle by the Director of Public Safety, including any county identification sticker and any validation sticker when required by and issued under sections 4503.19 and 4503.191 of the revised code. However, a commercial tractor shall display the license plate on the front of the commercial tractor.
Right. So 4503.191 basically says that you have to have a certain type of license plate sticker on your car, and your car has to actually have a valid license plate registration on it. So, hey, Judge, I know. I don't know that I've got an officer here that is here to testify about the facts.
Right.
Can we end him on?
I'm sorry. We'll be moving on very shortly here, but I know that there is I cannot find the specific expired, display of plates, expired, what have you, under the code section. Yeah, I'm going to tell you, and Mr. President, I admire your arguments, and I admire the work that you placed into this thing. But I'm also going to, in my 27 years of representing the wrongfully accused and 18 years on the bench, there's been a acceptance of sometimes intermingling of words of motor vehicle and vehicle and what have you, to the point when, there's 134 legislatures down in Columbus. Mm-hmm. Only 17 of those are lawyers, and only 8 of them ever practice law.
Okay.
So there's a lot of stuff that's going on down there that, as you know, we have volumes of laws that were regulated to death. Okay. However, I do believe that the way that codified ordinances of the city of Light.
See how they keep intermingling codes and laws, though? That's what bothers me. See, like when they do that, I would be the one to literally call that out. Like I hear that shit, and it's like you just put it on the record, and you're saying, and I'm like, no, nigga. Wait, I would say, excuse me, Your Honor, objection. We keep referencing codes that we were speaking of earlier as laws, but we all know they're not laws. We know they're statutes. We know they're ordinances. We know that they're codes. And so I just want to make clarification for that, just due to the fact that, again, a deprivation of any of my rights, including my right to self-governance or the right to travel or the right to locomotion in any way that I see fit, as long as I'm not hurting another individual being, again, doesn't matter if it's a statute, doesn't matter if it's a code, ordinance, or policy. Title 18, Section 242 is very clear. And I don't think the state does have the eligibility to oversee what's already known as far as freedom of rights and or liberties. And so we keep talking about these state statutes, and the state statutes have the power to regulate and enforce and do all these other things. But yet here we are sitting here talking about codes, statutes, and or policies that's requiring a free man, or in my case, woman, to be required to do anything. And I think that's the deeper aspect here, is that these administrative laws are hindering me and my freedom when there is no verified complaint nor corpus delicti. I'm just leave it there.
I'd like to
I
point
love
out one
what you
thing.
said, Cam. Mine is more of a Jasmine twist. So that's Cam's twist.
Okay.
My Jasmine twist would have been when he said that, I should have more leaned toward the rule of lenity, and would have told them, well, I understand that you're saying there's a commingling of words and definitions and things like that. However, because the government had the choice to choose the words that were used in the law, they could have chose other words. And therefore, under the strict construct of
But wait,
the
you
way
just
that
said it again, though. You just said the law. Are we talking about law?
I mean, we can say codes. I mean, whatever you want to call them,
Well,
but they
what they are, because if you don't, again, everything's about, we're talking about words here, right? Motor vehicle and vehicle and the definitions, but yet you using the wrong word on the record to keep you in alignment on your.
I mean, it doesn't. I mean, it because honestly, it doesn't matter because the rule of lenity applies anyway.
Correct.
So with the motor vehicle, because they have a strict construct of how they have to narrow these codes. They cannot just be like, oh, well, we made a mistake, and they made a mistake, and on the record, I'm just gonna correct it, and it's okay. And it's not supposed to go like that. He's basically ruling in favor of the state, saying like, oh, we make some mistakes, there's a commingling of words, and it's okay, but he's discrediting the General Assembly, saying, oh, there are only 8 of them have ever practiced law. 17 of them have law degrees, but there's 100 and something odd people on this thing, and most of them have don't know anything about law. That's basically what he's saying.
Now wait, I don't know if you saw what Troy just put in. Hey baby, how you doing?
No.
Okay, he just put a link in the chat, section 4511.01 Ohio Revised Code, in relation to the use of private property for vehicular travel. Uh-oh. Jazzy, have you seen that one, Jazzy?
No, I have not.
Oh my God. Everybody should be in Ohio thanking Jack right now. I mean, Troy. Thank you, Troy. That's deep. Go get him, Troy. Go get him. Yeah, how you like that link? You see that? Yeah, for vehicular travel, just like it probably says under the definition of road or street, such as any road, street, alleyway, highway, byway, road, and all definitions are open as a matter of right for public vehicular travel. Well, there you go, right there. Section 4511.01, use of private property for vehicular travel. See how they be hiding that bitch?
He said it was 4511 what?
The link's right there in the chat.
I can't see it.
4511.08.
Yeah.
Also, the judge keeps saying a commingling of vehicle and motor vehicles. I'd never heard him say automobile.
Correct.
Well, because vehicle is the more broad term. So they don't want to just be like automobile, because they don't want anybody on the roads driving drunk or driving high. They don't want that. That's a public safety interest that they are allowed to regulate.
Right.
So in that
But they're
regard,
not. They're regulating commerce. Don't give them that credit because that's always
but
their
they
excuse.
no, the government has a duty to protect the public.
They do, but their oversight is based on claiming that and then using it to their benefit.
Hell yeah.
Well, if they, let's say, okay, I get the fruit of the poisonous tree, right? But let's just say somebody's driving on the road, they're driving drunk, they're swerving in and out of the lane. They haven't hurt anybody yet. Do you feel like in those situations, the officer should, if the officer pulls the person over, finds out they're drunk, they should let them go?
No, fuck no. Take his
I'm
ass.
asking because these are the laws.
Grandma.
So I'm asking because this is basically what you're saying, Lana. They should not be able to do that.
No. She's not saying that. She's saying that they utilize that drunken all those to just actually get on people's ass when they shouldn't even be getting on their ass. What she's saying.
I agree. I'm more on the side of, I don't care, pull me over for my expired place if you want to sit here and see if I'm drunk or whatever. Once you find that out that there's no crime, I'm not drunk, there's nothing going on, let me be on my way. There's no reason to give me a ticket. There's no need to do anything extra. My headlight's out. Hey, ma'am, did you know your headlight was out? No, I didn't. Oh, well, just letting you know, I don't want you to get hurt or, you only got one headlight left. I mean, you might be out of another headlight and then you got no headlights, So let me be on my way. However, when they stop you, giving you a ticket, giving you a hard time, dragging out your car, that part is where it becomes unlawful to me. And we may, agree to disagree on that.
All right, you good. Keep going. Let's do it.
Rocky River, but those of Bay Village, Westlake, Fairview Park, North Olmsted, and the statutes from the metro parks, because we have their jurisdiction over parts of that as well, as they are written, display to an individual exactly, what needs to be done, what has to be said. And I'll find out from the officer what was happening, okay? So what I will do, let me see what the testimony is. I'll reserve ruling on your motion to dismiss, okay? And then, because there's bites of the apple as we go forward in this trial, all right? You understand that you're charged with a minor misdemeanor.
Yes.
Potential penalty is a $150 fine plus court costs if you are convicted or enter a plea to it. That's the maximum penalty. And I don't believe that it's not a moving violation. There's no points on it. So there's 0 points on your driving record, okay? Now, outside of what has already been advised to the court on this period here, are there any opening statements from you, Mr. O'Shea?
Wait, opening statement.
Okay. And Ms. Custom, do you wish to have any opening statement as to what you believe that the evidence will show here, regardless of what your motion to dismiss is going to say? Okay.
Well, I understand that my plates are expired, so I'm not really challenging the fact of my plate being expired or not. So
you're stipulating the fact that you don't have a sticker on your vehicle, a current valid registration of your car.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Which is the basis of the citation here, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So does she want to enter a plea of no contest and then argue the whatever legal issues, that she reserves the right to do that?
So what we can do, what that is.
Look how quick he was to jump on top of that. As soon as y'all start talking about that, I can get a no contest ready for it. You see how this nigga just jumped all over that? He was on top of it like, we got a prosecution, make it easy for us. You see?
Well, because what he wanted to do is he wanted to put me at the mercy of the court. And so he doesn't understand that I also know the traffic court rules. And so he was like upset because there was a conflict of general laws. You heard them stumbling through the different sections because there's multiple sections for the expired plate. And they went through every different revised code that it was supposed to be like referencing or quoting under the ordinance. And all of them are motor vehicle regulation laws. So I had him on that. He didn't want to focus on that. He like, listen, let's just go ahead and go to trial because at that point, all I have to prove is that she did it.
Right. Okay.
And now he's trying to get me to plea.
All right, because you have obviously you entered a plea of not guilty, and I'm sure that the magistrate, or you listened to the tape when you were down, right? Okay. So a plea of guilty is a formal admission of your guilt.
Right.
The plea of no contest is not a formal admission of your guilt, but you'll admit the facts contained in the citation to be true. Okay? And then we could hear what the facts are, because there would have to be an explanation of circumstances coming from the officer to show enough to find any type of conviction. Do you understand?
Yes.
And then you could reserve your right then relative to the dismissal and or the constitutional issues.
Okay. Now what I did say at the original hearing is
The
that,
arraignment.
or the arraignment.
Yes.
At the original arraignment, I did mention that Traffic Rule 11 does give me the ability to submit defenses and objections prior to entering the plea. And that's essentially what I was doing. And I wasn't really sure because the prosecutor usually doesn't show up to arraignment, so there's not really a chance for them to raise any objections or be able to at least defend the state in that regard.
Right.
So for the sake of me, this is an educational kind of thing for me.
Well, can I ask, and you don't have to respond, what do you do?
What do I do?
Yeah.
I work in sales.
Okay, very good.
So, this is more so just me trying to assert my rights as I have them under the Ohio Constitution.
Back up an inch, man. I'd like to hear that again.
Yeah, for real. He's like, who are you? Like, where did you come from? What do you do?
Totally, man. Who are you?
Like, who are you? Where did you come
masked
from?
woman?
Yeah, like, he's pretty much saying, I wish there were more of you. Like,
I missed the word that
maybe
you
he's trying
said
to
you
establish
do.
nexus.
What did you say you do? Yeah, he probably was, by the way. What did you say
she
you
in
do?
sales. She getting that
I
money?
said work in sales.
Yeah, she getting that money?
Okay.
Yeah.
I was born in Ohio, so I am a state citizen, so I'm just trying to reserve
So
my rights.
if you're stipulating the fact that your vehicle was not tagged, right, with the current registration.
Correct.
Okay. And did you just forget to do that, or you?
No. I did a lot of research, and I'm just.
Wait. He was giving you
driver's
leniency.
license.
Yeah.
He was about to give you leniency right there. If you would have been like, yeah. He was just gonna be like, did you just forget? Do you want to just,
Because no, I want him to rule on what I'm saying. I do not want to give him no out.
Good for you,
What he was
Jasmine.
doing is that, Jasmine, he was giving you out. You want to know why?
Why?
Mens rea and actus reus. Did you have intent behind it being not registered?
Yeah, so he was doing a couple of different things. So I don't know if you guys are listening, but he was like, I'm going to hear the officer's testimony because there's bites of the apple. So he was trying to see if there's a way that he could throw it out based on, the officer's testimony and fruit from the poisonous tree, as Cam always mentions. And I was like, no, I'm stipulating to that. No, none of that. Nope.
Yeah.
I did miss that, and maybe I probably should have leaned in, but I really wanted him to rule on my emotion. I didn't want to give him no outs. I'm sorry.
Man, he
y'all.
was trying to give you an out. Did you have the intent? You have to have a guilty mind with a guilty act. He trying to figure out, did you have the guilty mind?
Yeah, but that out doesn't last because the very next statement is, well, if I let you go register your vehicle, when I throw this whole thing out, will that work for you type thing? And
no, if he would have give her some stipulation or conditions to get it done within a certain amount of time and bring back that she had got it done in a certain time, and he would have thrown it out.
No,
But
I
Jasmine wants to stand on it all the way, which is cool.
I think he would have maybe just dismissed it because he doesn't want this going to appeal, but he also doesn't want to rule on some of the things I'm saying. He is the presiding judge of the court. That's why he was saying I wasn't really supposed to be on the docket. I'm actually here just for you. So he said that at the beginning. So he's not even supposed to be there. He came here to actually engage in judicial review based on the things that I'm raising in my motion.
What's up? Good shit.
He's going, ooh, we finally got another sovereign citizen. It's gonna be fun.
Throughout the whole thing, bro, he's been saying very good. There's been no claims or no disrespect. I don't see any bias. I think it's been Well, thus far, anyways.
That's
he's
fine.
Dude, you give sovereign citizens a good name, Jasmine.
Yeah, for real. All right, go.
Bam.
And why do you have a valid driver's license?
Well, I have a valid driver's license because when you get pulled over, there's a lot more penalties that come with not having a driver's license. And currently, if I allow my license to be suspended, I get a lot more headache.
Well, let me ask you this. Why would you then pick and choose various regulations? Because it's a state law that regulates your ability to operate a vehicle on our roadways, correct?
Well, I originally got the driver's license because I was under the impression that I needed a driver's license in order to move around on the highways. So because I had that impression based on common knowledge, that's why I got it. And aside from that, there's plenty of people who are in court every day because they don't have a driver's license and they get pulled over and cited by police officers for failure to have a driver's license.
That's correct. We have a lot of unlicensed individuals for various reasons here, okay? But, you know, the interesting thing is that, you know, for the potential of being fined $150 in court costs when it only costs you half of that to get a little sticker to put on your license for several years.
If I knew what I knew now, I never would have gotten the driver's license.
Well, then you wouldn't be able to drive.
I wouldn't be able to drive a motor vehicle,
Well, what will you be driving?
the automobile.
Oh no, that's where you messed up again. Fuck!
Yeah.
God damn it!
You know,
I messed up. What is
Fuck!
When-
Ah, you had that nigga right there. And you acquiesced to drive. Jazzy, why you had him?
I didn't. When I tell you, I don't be knowing whether to say the private conveyance, private passenger vehicle,
just
automobile.
no travel.
Travel. That nigga said, well, how are you going to drive? My good sir, I don't drive. I travel. According
Well,
to
he's
Black's
kind
law.
of like I mean, I've showed you guys in the Ohio Revised Code how they define. I don't know if being in physical control of a car can be any more clear, or being in physical control of the vehicle. I don't understand how that couldn't be any more clear as to how they're defining driving.
Operate. You might need to go through my advanced right to travel course. Catch up on a couple small things. You're doing great, but there's a couple little small things I think you need to catch up on, like operate.
How would you have said it, Cam?
You know what I'm saying? I just said how I would say. I would have just backed up and been like, excuse me, we keep using the word drive. If I have to clarify anything, you know, at this point, I haven't used the Whole Rule Act in any form or fashion, although we are leaning more towards lenity. And of course, there's going to be issues later that we see that become evident in relation to the fruit of the poisonous tree and when things need to be suppressed. There's no doubt about it, Your Honor. But at this time, what we keep doing is we keep utilizing what I'm trying to bring forth that is well established in law, that there is a right to travel, and it's as a matter of right. I mean, if we look both within the municipal codes and the county codes, here within this city and county, we see that the definitions of road and street clarify that it's open as a matter of right for public vehicular travel. If we look at the code that Troy just gave to us, which I can't quote right now, 40-something.11, we can see that there is a private use of pretty much our own conveyances. This is our private property. It's also codified within UCC 9-109 that any my private property is deemed a household good. Automobiles are included in that, Your Honor. So what I would just like to clarify is that, you know, if I was to invoke the Whole Rule Act, I would go back to Black's 4th edition and look at the definition of driver. And what it clearly states is that it's one employed. The first two words are such. And in such, I would like to make a distinction between that drive that you keep presuming that I'm doing, when there's a clear distinction between travel, which is codified all throughout Ohio statutes, codes, policy, and ordinances in this state. So I would just stop it whole completely, ramble about the distinction between the two, and try to tie as many things as I possibly can that clarify my point. Because you just acquiesced to drive right there. Take it back 10 seconds.
No, I'm admitting, yes, I said drive, but that's only because like I said, under the statute, under the traffic laws, it defines driving as being in physical control of the car. or physical control of the vehicle as a broad term. So, I mean, I'm not saying you guys can't do that. I don't do that because I'm trying to err on the side of I'm not a sovereign citizen and I'm not engaged with.
But you are. You are a sovereign citizen.
I'm not in. You said I'm a sovereign citizen.
Yeah, you know the definition of a sovereign citizen. Do you know
I've
the
seen
definition?
that. I've seen what you said, the original definition, but as we know, definitions change over time.
No, they don't change over time. Gold doesn't change over time. Silver doesn't change over time. People project their opinions of what it should be, but it doesn't change what it is. A dog is a dog and a cat is a cat. It cannot change unless it goes through some sort of alchemical process. That's how this works. Words are
like
words.
brand new legislation, brand new, direct, specific legislation could
What the
change
fuck did you just say? The definitions can be changed. What? Definitions can be changed? No, I don't. No. Now we're saying that black is not black and white is not white. We're just going to change the colors. The colors just get changed, right?
Yeah,
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying there's always what they say. Yusuf always says it. They speak with forked tongues, meaning these words have multiple definitions. So I never know. You don't know what definition they're applying. Now you can sit there and like get. For me, when I'm implying it, and I could probably mention that in my appellate brief when I'm going over that part under the statute, it does define drive as being in physical control of the car. So that way they're not saying that I'm, operating a motor vehicle in a commercial capacity. But I'm gonna keep going. Like I said,
No, you're doing great. You're doing great.
we do things a little different. Certain things I just don't are like trigger stuff, and I just
No, you're doing great. I'm just saying, yeah, you acquiesced to drive there, but okay.
I did.
Black law definitions of various terms are not definitions in law.
Which is why I didn't allow.
So what would you say to that, Cam? Because he just said, I don't know if you guys heard, but he said black law's definitions are not definitions in law.
Oh, then why the fuck do they call it Black's Law?
That's not true either, because yes, you initially are supposed to start within the statute or the part of the code that you're in, but if it's not defined there, the next step is to go to Black's Law.
But it is defined. That's what I'm getting at.
Okay, so even
so
even if it is though, wait, even if it is such though, again, you have that overlay, or should you say the foundation? Well, Your Honor, if we look just a little bit deeper, if we know the supreme law, federal law rules all, right? I would be looking at the federal interpretation of drive in relation to a motor vehicle. I would just go right back to the federal. I'm tying it all back.
Yeah, the state can't make it more stringent. They can make it a little bit less, depending on which way it's going, but they can't sit there and make it more stringent than what it would be under.
It can't go under the federal government to make the law. Yeah, it has to be in alignment with. So even such, we know it's always about commerce. See, the thing is that you ain't really been kind of tapping into either is the, like, I think, and I don't know if you will or won't, but like the commerce, profit or gain aspect of it. You know.
So so I'm gonna give you guys some of the things that from my research. You can do your own research in your own state because it's gonna be different in every state. Motor vehicle defines both a recreational vehicle and a mobile home. A recreational vehicle is defined as a private, I think for personal home use is personal use, meaning I'm not engaged in commerce when I'm using my recreational vehicle. So for me to then argue, private versus commercial, well, hey, the motor vehicle regulations are to regulate RVs. Now, I'm sure there's a constitutional argument that you can provide for that, but in this situation, to sit there and use that could be used against me. So that is why I avoid that when it comes to the Ohio Revised Code laws.
But Jasmine,
for me, what I more so lean on is the legislative intent.
Right.
And there is an implied right that I have the right to freedom of movement, and that the legislative is acknowledging that right by restricting certain codes that don't have a public safety interest.
Right.
to strictly motor vehicles, not all vehicles.
Right.
And that's what I'm trying to get him to
And there's the forked tongue.
acknowledge.
There's the
Huh?
forked tongue.
See,
And that's the
and
forked
here,
tongue.
And you're Ohio, which is pretty close to Kentucky, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that's like if you look at the AAMVA when they define drive within the AAMVA, and that's a code dictionary. It strictly pulls back to the case, and that case comes back and it's like, yeah, it's commercial motor vehicles. So isn't that within your Supreme Court district then? If Kentucky's right by you, I mean, I would be pulling right from that.
I'm not saying that that can't be used. However, when the courts get real, when I tell you they be real strict about you using other states, especially because they have different constitutions, you can use them to support certain things that you're saying, but you kind of want to ground it within your state if you're in a state court.
Yeah.
And it
Hey,
isn't a
Jasmine.
Supreme Court ruling. Go ahead.
Hey, have you looked into exemptions to your licensing requirements? Because in Washington State, it talks about those that are traveling for RV and traveling purposes are exempt from licensing.
Wow.
there's
So
also
each
the
state
fact.
has, and that's another thing that I want you guys to understand, because it's not a federally recognized right per se that is exempt from regulation. The states do have the right to regulate the public roads for the public safety, and they can pick and choose how they would like to regulate it when it comes to public safety. They can be more strict or they can be more lenient when it comes to public safety interests.
Well, they
So
still have to stay within the Constitution
they
and
do
render
have to
it
stay
narrowly
within the
and
within the
render it
realms of the
narrowly
Constitution.
as to not burden upon your fundamental constitutionally protected rights to liberty, life, and the pursuits of your choosing. And the only reason I'm even bringing that up is because of the fact that you're parsing out two separate things, and I'm just realizing maybe these are two separate things. They conflate as one. But as it relates to where there is public safety, you can't be running red lights. That's something they could do. The same as an old West town could be like, dude, you hand your gun in at the door. They can sort of do that if everyone else, But then when it comes to the other things, so you separate them out. So but there is commerce and public safety are two separate things. They're separately enumerated in the constitutions, and they're separately enumerated here in what I'm telling you. So public safety, and that therefore the different words. If they wanted different words, they would have used them, like you said. Those are the words they chose, and because I, as the accused, get the common law construed in my favor, construed according to common law, because I raised the substantive question narrowly in this case. So isn't that sort of the argument? Because that's what you said. Okay.
So like I kind of had to go off my motion because I thought I was dealing with a motor vehicle and I wasn't dealing with a vehicle. Now some stuff I have in the back of my brain because I've had to revise my appellate brief and I've touched on certain topics. But go ahead, Alira. What did you have to say?
See, I was just going to point out the fact that we don't need to be sticking only to transportation code or even the motor vehicle code. If we go into other codes, we'll find things like in Texas, under the natural resource code, you have the definition of a public highway, which is any street. Oh, I don't have that first part quoted, but any street, highway, any alleyway, even anything that's intended that is to be open as a matter of right for the purpose of vehicular travel.
Yep.
It's open as a matter of right for the purpose of vehicular travel. That does not have anything to do with commerce, which means that the roads are actually there for us to travel. It is a privilege to use them commercially to travel down their highways to make money transporting goods. There's also the fact with RVs, if you properly have it classified as a household good that is your home, they cannot force you to register that one either, because we have the right to travel. And that includes to travel from place to place for semi-permanent time frames, if we choose to.
And
So
I
if you
agree with you,
properly
Alira.
classify your items, you can actually fight them so much easier that it's just dispute this, and they can't.
Yeah, it is. It is very deep though when you get into the little smaller things because you keep seeing as a matter of right, and that damn term right there is so powerful because it's all throughout. It's in the ordinances. It's in the counties. and it's straight right there as a matter of right for public vehicular travel. Now I know they want to keep saying like, okay, well the vehicle we can regulate and all that, but open as a matter of right is very distinct from one who needs to be regulated. Those are actually opposite.
I
If
agree.
so, I guess I don't know. That's why I keep getting into that. But you're doing great. We're just talking. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I know. I was just gonna say the last thing I would say is that I I look at a lot of case law and I look at how they're gonna come about certain things. So certain things I don't raise based on certain responses I'll probably get. So I'm not saying that you don't have a right to the public highways, but I do always mention that there is a public safety interest, and it's always important to mention that because that's how they're gonna come. We do have a right. It is a right for you to be able to use the public roads. However, we are able to regulate the right in regards to public interest or public safety.
Yeah,
And
So
you know,
and that
that's where
ties
they're
back.
tricking us. Sorry, go ahead, Cam.
Well, I was just gonna say, and that ties back into the deposition with like these officers, right? Is that like you literally let go somebody that was doing 40 and a 20 just to harass someone who was wanting to be private.
right.
It was really, you really had a public safety risk hazard here. There's ice all over the roads and shit, bro. There's snow all over the place. Doing 40, you think if somebody gonna stop, they just gonna instantly stop with all the rocks on the ground and the like, and you just, oh, have a good day. I just give them a warning to come harass a private person or living being, whatever, just talking right now. We're not in court. All right. Well,
That's crazy. Okay. I'm gonna go back to the video, but then I'm gonna touch on a couple of other things.
The black law definitions of various terms are not definitions in law.
Which is why I didn't, a lot of everything that I've put into my document is not founded or based out of the Black Law Dictionary. It's actually based out of the Ohio jurisprudence, other various case laws based on like terminologies like the void for vagueness doctrine, this Jazmane doctrine. I was actually overturned in 2024 by Wilford Bright versus Romariendo or something like that. Can't say that.
You're spending a lot of time on issues, Ms. Preston, that I think would be well deserved in other areas. But I mean, I appreciate it.
Uh-oh.
Deserves another hearing.
Well, no, he said well deserved in other areas.
Wow.
He said which would be well deserved in other areas. But what he's hitting on is he's hitting on your fruit of the poisonous right there. Maybe he's hitting on your evidentiary or something. I think yeah, you're using Chevron good. And I don't think people have been using Chevron as much as we should. That's a very strong point. I brought it up a lot when I first, started doing this. And yeah, I'm proud of you for that. That's good.
No, what he was actually alluding to is that like this is just an expired plate. Like the amount of money you putting into this is like, and the amount of time, like it's not. You could be putting this energy. Like he tells me that I should go get my attorney's license and I'd be a really good attorney in the private practice. But he was just basically saying like you should do that and actually genuinely help people.
That's dope.
Not this.
Yep. Straight up.
Let's give this man the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. That's right. You maybe see it, Mr. O'Shea, maybe.
I'll tell you like this, though. I'll tell you like this. It's way better to empower people to stand on their own rights. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Than to sit here and go and defend somebody that don't know a damn thing, and then they continue living life getting harassed by these people because they don't know anything.
Yeah.
I think I do comprehend somewhat of the aspect of, yeah, go out and get your license and help people. But even for yourself, you're not ever going to get to the point where you actually empower somebody with what we are all empowering each other with right now. You see what I'm saying? That'll never happen with you representing someone else. So again, the cycle just continues rather than the people just standing up and finally, because it's the education that rises, right? It sets the bar into a new precedent to where everybody's intellectualism rises more to where we start getting respected all over the place.
Amen. Amen.
Go ahead, Steve. What do you got to say?
Okay, damn, just cut me off. Like,
My bad. You stop talking. It's a dog word out here. You gotta be quick with it.
Well, I just got kind of a silly question. if having a license, does that stop somebody from speeding, running a red light and crashing? And if not, what's the real intent of a license?
See, so when I look at the laws, when I read it, it appears that how they use this license is in the event of an accident and an officer asks you for your license, you should be able to produce it. And this is always trying to establish who should be charged punitively for infringing on the rights and trying to figure out who caused this accident. And so they're trying to figure out what conduct would constitute this person being at fault. Now, your driver's license is basically evidence that you know how to drive, which is why a lot of times they'll deem the person, if they don't have a driver's license, at fault in an accident automatically. So it's just like how they're using it is, oh, well, here's my driver's license. This is my evidence that I actually meet the state minimum requirements to be able to drive properly. Do you have one? No? Okay, well, you don't have any evidence to support that you didn't hit me or would know how to use your vehicle and not hit me. That's how I look at it.
I have something for you, Jasmine, because it keeps getting pointed out. And one of the ways in which they confuse us or attempt to have that forked tongue, I love the analogy because it's this forked tongue casting spells, if you want to look at it organically. And one of the ways they confuse us is they have their public safety aspect, and then there's the commerce aspect. And it just struck me earlier, Lana said something, I think, and then it struck me. I was like, wait a second, that's right. These guys are all stuck when they want to play government to the 19 or 20 enumerations in the Constitution. That's what every title is named after, or it's ultra-virus. That's what everything is named after, these enumerations. Public safety is one of them. Commerce is another. So when it's in commerce, they don't got the right. When it's in public safety, you get to have it narrowly construed. Furthermore, when it's in commerce, it's privilege requested and punitive measures applied per benefits received. And when you're on the private side, it's remedies when you're without benefits from the thing you didn't ask for and receive no benefit. So you owe no duty. So one becomes remedies versus the other, remedies and rights versus the other, which is administrative bullshit. It's real. And the more I think about it, that's a powerful thing to always know. Are you talking about the commercial aspect of which, your governance is severely limited, or the public safety, which has to be narrowly construed to not infringe upon my inalienable rights? These are the substantive questions. That's what's being pointed out here. I yield.
Hey, Jasmine.
Wait, before you go, James has been waiting patiently. James, can you go ahead, please?
Yeah, I have a question. So you said earlier, just a couple minutes ago, that a license shows competence that you know how to drive. I just like to kind of ask on the aspect, like, how does a license that's a piece of plastic show how I, the actual man or woman, competently know how to drive? Like, the piece of plastic is just a piece of plastic. It doesn't say I can turn left or right, or I can drive straight, or I can turn at a signal. It doesn't represent that at all.
True. So where I'm saying this is that you have to understand the purpose of administrative courts. So a lot of times they are handling cases administratively, and they use a lot of prima facie evidence to support certain things. So it's not that it's actual evidence and can't be rebutted, but let's just say there's no video. You don't have a video and it's not really clear who caused the accident. Hey, here's my driver's license. I'm going to show this as prima facie evidence, not that it can't be rebutted, that I know how to use my vehicle and that the state agrees that I know how to move my vehicle, which is why I should not be held at fault in this accident.
So why do you
charge
feel
damages?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Why do you feel that the state should be able to say whether you can or cannot do something?
She's
Well,
not.
I'm not necessarily saying that the state is saying that I can or cannot do something per se. But when there's an accident, you have to understand that there was an infringement on somebody's rights.
It's public safety.
Somebody has been harmed.
Yeah.
Now, who was at fault and who caused the harm is the person who's going to be charged punitively, because they don't want people out here moving along the roads and hitting people and causing accidents and infringing on everybody's rights. So they have to be able to hold these people accountable and charge them in some sort of way so that they don't just keep hitting people.
Correct.
Now, that would be the public safety interest. There's a public safety, you're hitting people. So they're asking, do you have a driver's license? No, I don't have a driver's license. Oh, you don't? Okay, well, it was probably your fault. If no video evidence and nobody else is rebutting it. So that's what I thought. It's not to be used to say, oh, I pulled you over. Do you have a driver's license? And I didn't hurt anybody. That it's not supposed to be used in that manner.
Right. It's supposed to be used for commerce, profit or gain.
Or to
Not
show.
even, not identification at all.
No, I said it's prima facie. You can use it as prima facie evidence. So, like, the license is the right to commit an illegal act, right? So the illegal act that I did was maybe infringed on somebody else's rights. I hit them. So here's my evidence that, well, I have a license to kind of do that. Do you have a license to hit people? That's how I looked at it. When it boiled down, I was like, well, that makes sense. Same thing with the license to practice law. Technically, you hold somebody's life in your hands, their property in your hands, and you have this license to protect you in the event that, things don't go well and that person goes to jail and is deprived of life or liberty.
Right.
You had a license to be able to commit a crime.
Okay, so check this. It's axiomatic that merely possessing a government-issued driver's license, vehicle registrations, or license plate does not per se safeguard the public or guarantee competence behind the wheel. Such documents serve at best at prima facie proof that an individual has undergone a state-sanctioned administrative process, one that often involves perfunctory testing and cursory verification of minimal operational skill. The conferral of a license or the attachment of a registration sticker to a vehicle's windshield does not in and of itself impose any tangible restraints on a traveler's capacity to engage in or driver's capacity to engage in a reckless, negligent, or malicious conduct upon the public roadways. Indeed, the jurisprudential rationale often pro-offered in defense of these regulatory mandates proceeds from a flawed assumption that state-issued credentials inherently diminish the incidence of harm. Yet the mere possession of a credential is not an active agent of public safety. Drivers who are fully licensed and whose vehicles carry valid registration routinely commit infractions, cause accidents, and place others at risk. This reality belies the notion that the licensure or registration has any intrinsic prophylactic effect on dangerous conduct. To the extent that the Supreme Court justice of any jurist of high authority might conclude that licensure and registration themselves meaningfully ensure public safety, such a stance reveals an incomplete comprehension of the deeper American constitutional ethos. At its core, the American tradition cherishes individual liberty, autonomy, and the right to travel unencumbered by arbitrary impositions of state power. Where the government attempts to conflate bureaucratic compliance with the actualized safety, it misapprehends the relationship between freedom and responsibility, substituting symbolic badges of state approval for genuine, situationally informed measures that would truly enhance roadway safety. In short, reliance on these formalities as bulwarks of public welfare is illusory. They do not actively restrain misconduct. They only facilitate enforcement after the fact. To valorize licensing and registration as the essence of public safety is to exalt form over substance. Such a perspective undermines the core values of sovereignty and liberty that lie at the heart of American jurisprudence and runs counter to the fundamental principle that the free people must not be compelled to seek permission from the state to exercise rights integral to their daily lives.
I'm not saying you're wrong. But what I am going to say is that as you guys talk about the codes and stuff, are ran through the legislative branch, and that's the branch that actually adjudicates those matters administratively. And a driver's license in a administrative court, not saying you can't take this to a judicial court. You definitely can. But those codes are legislative codes and apply to an administrative process. So if you're looking for a more lenient or easier route that doesn't require as much they don't have as many rules and regulations. It's kind of like, did you do it or did you not? And I can use illusions of evidence to be able to support my position. Hey, you don't have to go that route. You can definitely sue somebody in a judicial court. But would it be easier in an administrative court if you have certain things that comply with the administrative laws? Absolutely. So it just depends on how do you want to play this game. I'm not saying the driver's license doesn't really, it's not a contract. It doesn't mean that you can't, they can just arbitrarily infringe on your right of freedom of movement. That is not true, which is why I don't really, that's why I'm still standing on my rights, even though I have a driver's license. So I'm going to go back to playing the video. But somebody, yes, Mitchell.
Hey, in your vehicle code, have you looked up the purpose of the vehicle code? Because it will designate who it applies to.
It does talk about the person in my motor vehicle laws and things like that. However, you know, that was my purpose.
Just in the section where it says purpose, it won't say a person. It'll say professions and businesses and registering vehicles, meaning motor vehicles. But they don't say that, which is it's wide and not narrowly tailored.
I like that.
To apply to us, it has to be narrowly tailored.
I like
and it doesn't mention it. So you can use that against them in court, that the motor vehicle code doesn't apply to you.
I like
the
that.
1984 Motor Vehicle Safety Act was for commercial vehicles, to control commercial vehicles on the public roads, because they were causing havoc and accidents all over the place.
Good shit. Now, what I'm going to say to you, Jasmine, do you see how everybody is pointing out something that you ain't really taking home to heart? Is the
I'm not saying
profit.
that these things aren't true. I get that.
Okay.
I understand, but I think that, because I don't know if the motor vehicle was that a federal act?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm still learning the difference between like federal and state and how the different acts and things like that apply. But sometimes they apply specifically apply through the federal government to the state, and sometimes it just applies to the federal government. So for me, I more so lean more towards, okay, well, what is the state saying? Since I'm in state court and they're charging me with a city ordinance, I'm going to have more solid ground when I'm like, okay, well, Ohio says this, Ohio says that. That's their king, Ohio. That's their sovereign ruler. So I use that.
Okay, but in every state, there's a federal interstate roads. So if you get pulled over on an interstate road, can't you use federal rules and regulations in the state? Because every state has international as interstates, which is controlled by the federal. There's not a single state in our nation that doesn't have interstate roads on them or for government.
And I think that's when the residency thing comes into play, because, and I could be wrong, and you guys can rebut it, and I'm not saying that you can't. The residency plays into play because is it interstate travel or intrastate? And so when it's intrastate travel, then the federal code isn't going to apply. I'm not a trucker, and maybe Alyrica can supply more information on this, but because they're usually traveling through interstate, meaning they're going through multiple states, it would be harder for them to sit there and keep up with every state's code as they travel through all 50 states. Thank you.
Correct. Which is why there is the federal 49 CFR commercial transportation code for that exact reason. All state commercial transportation codes are supposed to be based upon the federal 49 CFR. So if you ever find in your state statute when you're trying to do things that you have ambiguity, you force them to follow the 49 CFR to protect you in what it actually is. And the same thing goes back a lot for the word driver, because a lot of times they change in the states the definition of what driver is. You can force them to use the 49 CFR version of it as well.
And I could be wrong, but I believe that's only when you're operating in commerce and doing interstate. travel.
Intrastate and interstate is the same thing when it comes to commerce. All it is intrastate is within that one state. Interstate means you go from state to state to state. No matter which one you do, you still have to follow the commercial code for commerce. It's all commerce. You have to follow those rules. It's just the what type that you're doing.
So because I'm not engaged in commerce, and that was another thing that I'm going to touch on too, is like I try to like some things that I've been doing more recently is trying to get them on the record to identify what venue I'm in, because a lot of people like to say, oh, you guys don't have jurisdiction. However, I was asking the court because the judge who I was in front of actually wears both hats. He wears the administrative hat and he wears the presiding judge hat. Yes, there will probably be a conflict of interest, the fact that he wears both hats, especially because they're operating in duality, and it doesn't allow me to be able to easily identify how they're judging my case. And so I asked him, I'm like, are you acting administratively or are you presiding over this case? And he's like, I'm both presiding judge and I'm both administrative judge. And I'm like, I understand that you're both, but how are you dealing with this case? Are you presiding over or are you administrating it? And he was like, I don't know if because he do this thing where he was an attorney once upon a time. So he be getting me off track. And so somehow he ended up getting me he was like, well, what do you engage in judicial review for what? So he never actually answered my question, but he never actually said he wasn't presiding over my case. So I can't.
Sorry. The thing I was noticing through this whole case, and I don't tend to jump in and start talking a lot. The thing I was noticing through this whole case, that judge was being the prosecutor and doing the prosecutor's job through the whole thing so far. And that needs to be stopped. And you have the responsibility to stop that, rebut that shit. Because that prosecutor sat over there and let the judge do the entire thing.
Well, how we stop?
On top,
doing most of it. He did most of it. Yeah, it's like, yeah, Your Honor, you're supposed to either recuse yourself or be the fair and impartial trier of facts. So please have the prosecution place their facts on the record and swear them in.
Yeah.
Swear them in.
Yeah, swear them in. And not only that, but your rebuttal is an objection. Your Honor, courts and judges, you're supposed to be fair and impartial, but yet you're doing the prosecutor's job for him. So which is it? Are you gonna practice law on the bench, or are you gonna let the man that we pay tax money to do his freaking job? I don't think you want to use the same language I just did, but still,
No, yeah, tax money. That's that.
you know. On top of that, Jasmine, when it comes right down to the thing, where's the freaking PC? Where's the probable cause? What crime did you commit?
Well, they're alleging that
You did what?
I violated their ordinance that says no vehicle can be on the road.
Who did you hurt? Did they have a witness that you ran over somebody's mailbox and went drag stripping down the road at 150 miles an hour, and they got an eyewitness that you did that? No, they don't, because there has to be probable cause. Once they have you locked down into breaking the freaking law, you're a criminal. You hurt somebody, or you ran over their property and destroyed their property. They got an eyewitness that said, hey, I saw this car, this description, I got their tag plate, or didn't have a tag plate, but this is the description of the car. They just ran over my freaking mailbox, left these tire tracks in my yard, and they're going such and such direction on this road. And then all of a sudden 911 sends out a call, hey, be on the lookout, and they see your car go by at 115 mile an hour in a 55. Now the cop's after you, and he's calling his buddies down the road, telling them to, be on the lookout. And then they get you pulled over, and they got an eyewitness. They've got your tire tracks in the guy's front yard. They got the broken mailbox, and they got the damage on your car. That's all probable cause. So now they turn around and they add on the codes, ordinance, and statutes that you as well broke. Because you know what a statute is? It's to stack on. That's what a statute literally means. They can stack onto the law you broke all these other crimes now, because they are now crimes that you were committing during the commission of a crime.
Mm.
An ordinance, a code, those are all codes and ordinance only for the employees of said city or state, like a policy that they have to follow. But when you break that statute under the commission of a crime, they've got the PC, now they get to stack all the crap onto you. And I want everybody to realize, I'm not a fucking lawyer, but I have lawyers in my family. I have prosecutors in my family. And they tell me these kind of things like, we get to pull you over for breaking an ordinance or a code, and you're too stupid to fight it. Seriously, I've had my aunt, she's a prosecutor up in Kansas City. She goes, our cops are told to pull you guys over for these ordinances and codes and statutes, yet they don't have any probable cause, and nobody ever fights the probable cause.
I didn't fight that. You're right. You're right.
It's just coming from little old Kansas boy. I mean, you know, I was just over in Washington Courthouse over there in Ohio just yesterday. I don't know why they call a city Washington Courthouse, but that's what they do.
Hey, Jasmine.
Sorry,
Before you go, Mitchell, and I'm so
you,
sorry. I seen two things. I seen James Stephen raise his hand. Did you still have something to say, or was what you said already addressed?
It was already addressed. I appreciate it, though. Thanks.
Okay, go ahead, and then I'm gonna play the video so we can get through it. It's not too much more. Do you guys? And also, do you guys want to hear the cross-examination? Because I really didn't care about the trial, but if y'all want to, like, go ahead and hear what I said, we can do that. But
We'll let a little bit of it play, I guess, if you can fast forward to it.
Yeah, and then like, are you going to show us any documents or anything either, or what?
y'all want to see my documents, like the motion that I drafted?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Okay, you can see that. It was not good. Of course.
Okay.
I'll go ahead. I'll show it. But it was, now that I know how to properly draft a motion, it was kind of rough. But go ahead, Mitchell. What do you want to say?
Do you know that the right to travel has nothing to do with commerce and the commercial of the roads of every state?
Yes. I more so lean on the I do like a combination, like I paint a picture, because I know that another thing they like to say with the right to travel is that the courts have defined that as X, Y, and Z. So I more so lean on I have the freedom of movement. I have the right to acquire property and use it for the purpose thereof, and I have a right to use the public roads. So I use all three of those, and I like basically say, well, you're infringing on all three of these rights, rather than just be like, oh, well, I have a right to travel. I do, but I'm not.
As a man or a woman, you do, but not as a person. The definition of a person is a corporation, an officer of a corporation. That was changed in the 1820, like around 1824. They took "we the people" out of the definition of a person. So it's all commercial oriented. So if you're not involved in corporation, you shouldn't even be showing up to their court. As an example, over a month ago, I got a citation and I returned it within 72 hours, putting on the back of it, no probable cause, and took it back to the district court. And the two ladies asked me, what are you going to do with this? I says, I'm not going to do nothing with it. You're not going to sign it or nothing? I says, no. If the prosecuting attorney wants to prosecute me on this, he's got my address and my name right there on the front of the ticket. And I've been waiting for a reply from him. And I guess so far he's not going to prosecute.
Have you looked it up?
Yes, I have.
And no court date scheduled?
I don't care. It's not, I'm a living man. I'm not a person that is required to show up.
Did they issue, these are just questions I'm asking. Did they issue a warrant for it?
No, as far as I know, I haven't been pulled over again. I don't care if they do it anyways. You have to stand on a warrant just means they're going to haul you into court.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I mean, like, I'm just asking these questions because people are going to hear this, and I just want to make sure that people know, hey, you can do this. They're still going to have a hearing scheduled. And when you don't show, they're not just going to summarily find you guilty. They still have to, give you a chance to say
It all
something,
depends on the district attorney.
but
If
they
the
are going to
district
bring you into
attorney
court.
doesn't want to, if the district attorney doesn't want to fight it or go against it, he's not going to write me. He's not going
Well,
to
that
assert it.
depends. I just want people to understand that, like, you can do this, but I would check to see if a warrant has been issued.
Jasmine, what it sounds like you're doing is you're trying to navigate away within the administrative process, outside of the whole jurisdictional argument, which is valid all by itself, and just weave this path through their administrative process that gets them within themselves, who never give remedy, to give you remedy. Which is fine because you're doing it successfully so far. At least this judge, I mean, maybe it has everything to do with the judge too, but it's like what you're doing is amazing. I just love watching this thing unfold.
And she's also saying, show up to your court dates.
So, so that's what you're doing, right? I mean, you're like, you know what? We're going to remedy this thing from within you guys.
Yeah, and
I'm using that which is
it.
without, because from without, so shall need to become brought within, and that's what you're doing, essentially.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I approve. I mean, just as a way, we're all finding out the Wisedomia is the mastermind. The mastermind shall know all things. Resistance is futile, and you're freaking killing it.
Thank you. All right, let's go ahead and get through the last bit.
Can I say one thing about the personal jurisdiction too? I think it's really valid right here in this moment, if I can, real quick. I think that the challenge to personal jurisdiction is that every definition of whatever they call it, doesn't even matter. You want to challenge this, I'm a natural person, I'm this. You are not. The more valid point is that you're not an individual or a legal entity. That's ultimately what they're trying to get, or any other legal entity. I'm not a legal entity. That's it. For me, that screams more valid than anything else. I'm not a legal entity. I'm not created by law. That's it. Whether anything else applies to me, yes, I'm a man or a woman. And you can say that, and they're probably going to label you a sovereign citizen, and you have to kind of go through all the motions. But my point is, all of these apply to legal entities, correct? Yes? Okay, everybody agrees. Yeah. I'm not a legal entity. That to me is the most solid thing. Instead of, I mean, at least without causing undue burden for the court and for you in the argument. That's all I wanted to say, was that everything ends with, are you illegal? Like any other, it says individual, person, trust, corporation, blah, blah, blah. It just, every single one, it always ends with, or any other legal entity. And you're like, oh, well, that's where I find, you think you're an individual, but I find the freedom always at the very end of an entire code, or at every end of everything. That's where they're going to find some semblance to the freedom, something that resembles what your rights are. That was all I wanted to say.
I will say that I actually seen, and I think that was an interesting point. If you want to see something that kind of like supports that, if you go to the crimes and procedure, I think it's like crimes and something, and it actually talks about, it mentions woman in regards to, like, if you were to harm a woman who is pregnant with a child, they talk about that in regards to a crime. So when they want to use man and woman, they do. So I thought that was interesting.
Because when they charge a pregnant woman, or when they charge somebody with murdering a pregnant woman, it's a double homicide, because they choose to invoke that both parties in that circumstance, because it's an actual crime.
Yeah.
The parties harmed with an actual crime are no longer legal entities, because the baby in the womb is not a legal anything. They're literally a baby. They're a fetus. They're a child, but they're not legal anything. They're not documented beyond some measurements by anybody anywhere.
Yeah.
They have there's no record of anything that they can quantify until that child comes to port.
Right.
And once the child comes to port, aka is delivered to port, aka wherever receiving entity gets it, that's when they would have a different charging document. But you're right, and I read that in my own codes. That's the point. It's double homicide because a party was injured, and that party was not a legal entity. Because if it was, just because a corporation is about to create a child corporation, and then you bankrupt that parent corporation, does not mean that you are going to be charged with a double homicide of that corporation. That's where your humanity is always going to be found, is whenever there's a child involved that is not a legal entity, because they're not a legal entity until they are born or until they are 18. I think it's still they're a legal adult, but that's just me.
Hey, Jasmine, one last thing. So they are parsing out the various differences because they can refer to man or woman when it comes to the public danger aspect for the public welfare, safety. And when it comes to the statutory side, because of the commerce, so those two things are parsed out as clear as can be in my mind. And if they want to refer to man or woman, they would. It's the line of questioning would constantly be, so we got to define this word, like Cameron was saying. So if it's a person, well, in the strictest sense, individual judge, a person judge, or, can you please in the strictest sense, is that referring to myself as a living man or living woman?
Yeah, but we can stop all that just by where's the probable cause? Where's the freaking crime? Where's the probable cause? And until that is answered with definition, there is no crime, there is no statute, there is nothing that is invoked to become a ticket or a citation.
And
Well,
I'm
that's
so
true,
I'm so sorry. Just for the purpose of trying to get through this, can we just reserve that to the end? Promise we'll review it again, but can we just reserve it to the end so we can finish this rest? Thank you.
I'm okay with that.
Judge, just so I understand protocol procedurally, has the defendant tendered a plea of no contest?
I have not heard that. So do you want the trial or do you want to enter a plea? I mean, you've already admitted that fact. Do you understand what the no contest is?
Well, I guess traffic rule 11 doesn't require me to.
It doesn't require you to do anything.
To enter that in order to assert defenses and objections. So
well, I've already got your defenses and objections. So, also, why don't you take the stand? I'll get this.
Okay, sure.
He's been sworn in, so.
I'm gonna kind of skip over the prosecutor stuff because it's like pretty basic, same stuff you always hear,
Oh, do we want to skip through something?
Codified ordinance violation.
I'm sorry, what'd you say, Naomi?
Oh, I said, do we want to skip through something? I think it's really informative.
Oh, okay. Sure, we can listen to it. I just figured save some time, but go ahead. I'll play the whole thing.
Sir, if you would, go ahead and state your name and spell your first and last name for the record.
Yeah, it's me, Thomas Schneid, Thomas Schneid.
Sir, and where are you currently employed?
Rocky River Police Department.
Sir, how long have you been so employed?
Approximately a year and a half.
Okay. And prior to becoming a police officer to the city of Rocky River, did you have any type of training?
Yes, I went to the State Patrol.
Okay. And how long was that course?
6 months.
Okay. And did you get some sort of certificate or validation of the completion of that course, sir?
Yes, sir.
And since joining the City of Rocky River Police Department, have you had an occasion to enforce the traffic laws in Ohio, including but not limited to state statute violations and codified ordinance violations?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And do one of those violations involve but are not limited to what we commonly refer to as expired plates?
Yes.
Under 335.10 of the codified ordinances of the City of Rocky River?
Yes.
Okay. Can I direct your attention to the events that occurred shortly after midnight on February 16th, 2025?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have an occasion to to pull over an automobile written by a person by the name of Jazmane Preston.
Yes.
Okay. And what was the purpose of the pullover, sir?
Ms. Preston had an out headlight and then an expired registration.
Okay. And registration, you would have identified the registration by use of looking at her license plate?
Yes, sir. I ran her registration through the MDT, which indicated that the registration was expired.
Okay. All right. And where were you when you did this activity, sir?
On I-90.
Okay. Is I-90 in the city of Rocky River, Cuyahoga County, Ohio?
Yes, sir.
Is the person that you issued the citation to sitting in the courtroom this morning?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And could you point her out and identify her and indicate for the record what she's wearing?
Yes, Ms. Preston's right there wearing a gray dress.
Okay, all right. And could the record reflect that given the fact that the only person sitting at that table over there on my right is the person he just identified, could the record reflect that he's identified the defendant for the record?
The record will reflect the officer as identified, Mr. President.
Okay.
Preston as the defendant.
And did you approach the car, sir, after you pulled the car over?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and did you validate that Ms. Preston was in fact the registered owner or the person to whom you were going to give the citation to, sir?
Yes.
Okay. And did you cite her for 335.10 of the codified ordinance of the city of Rocky River?
Yes.
And at the time that you pulled her over, was the license plate in fact expired?
Yes.
Okay. And did you by any chance run that license plate again today?
Within the last week I have. Not necessarily today.
Okay.
I believe it was 3 days ago was the last time I ran it.
And when you ran it 3 days ago, is it still expired?
It's still expired.
Okay. Is it legal to drive a car in the city of Rocky River with expired license plates, sir?
No.
And is that why you cited the defendant, sir?
Yes.
Okay. And this all occurred, I-90 is in the city of Rocky River, Cuyahoga County, Ohio?
Yes.
Okay, Judge, I have no further questions at this time.
Thank you very much. Mr. Preston, any questions for the officer?
Judge, I would only have a quick oral motion to eliminate. This officer here is a fact witness, Judge. He's not wearing a robe. He's not here to identify and decipher the law. He only applies the law as he knows it. That is only for you to decide, Judge. So the questions are directed to what happened, not his understanding of the law.
Very good. Thank you. Mr. Preston.
Okay. Well,
I object to that.
If you are in charge with enforcing the law.
Don't you? I mean, I'm not sure. Looking back, do you wish you had objected to what he just said?
I would have objected to him saying the word car and not the word
Well, yeah, because he must know some
automobile.
matters of law. This is not to exclude him in every matter. He had training on basic amounts of it, and to exclude wholly is to prejudice my ability to cross-examine this witness.
Objection, Your Honor. Do traffic laws apply to the defendant, or does basic safety laws apply to public travel?
Right. Anyway, that's all. Did you think about that, Jasmine?
Well, Jasmine don't want to
Sorry,
talk.
I was on mute. I thought I was talking.
No, you.
But the thing about trial is I hate trial. That's why I'd be like, nope, I'm gonna go stipulate to the facts because I don't know. Anytime I go to trial, it's like a fact-finding thing. And I'm like, well, what is the facts that I'm trying to find? I don't know. So like that's why I'm like, okay, what questions can I ask? Because they're always like objecting. Oh, the officer is not supposed to interpret the law. You'll hear them say stuff like that. It's not for them to interpret the law. That's the job.
He's got to interpret a basic amount of the law. Like, I can't smash you in the face. Like, you know, he knows some basic law. He has to for his job. It's basic down at his level, but you can at least establish that he just doesn't have an understanding of it and unfit to adjudicate even his lowerly station within the legal system.
You'll hear. I try to think of some questions, but like when they put this scope that I have to stay in, I can't have that freedom of thought to be able to like kind of find my way, what I want to ask and how I want this narrative to go. So
anyway, I thought of it. So I'm done.
The whole purpose of going through the trial court isn't for being in that trial court. if you actually play the game properly by the rules, what you're actually doing is you're preparing the record for appeal, because you can't bring up new issues on appeal that you didn't properly object to during the trial, because they only do it based on procedural errors. So when you make an objection, the judge sustains you or overrules your objection, or when they sustains the other side's over top of you, and you don't get the proper evidence in, or they allow bad evidence in. If they any violations of the rules that you don't object to, you're not going to bring it up on appeal, be able to bring it up on appeal, because they're not going to want to look at it. They're not going to know where to look. The objections aren't for you in that court. They're for the appellate court to see where the mistakes are in the trial itself.
Amen. They're for both, really, but amen.
Jasmine, you noticed when lawyers get objected and judge sustains or overrules, what they do is they re-ask the question, but in a different way to fall within the rules. So
I don't
it's
know
like,
see, and that's the thing. I don't know the trial court rules. I'm still learning that part. I was just trying to learn the like basic stuff as far as like how to file this paperwork, how to what kind of civil rules that I'm supposed to be in compliance with, what kind of criminal rules I'm supposed to be in compliance with. Like I've learned that, but now the next phase would be to learn the rules of evidence that I'm not really so well versed in.
right.
And
Remember
how to
when the
formulate
prosecutor,
objections.
Yeah, that's
when
the
the
foundation of everything, is the evidence. Without evidence, there is nothing.
when the prosecuting attorney asked the question that he went through the state, he didn't say academy, but he said he went to this the state patrol office. I would have asked questions. What did you actually learn? Did you learn any rights? Did it tell you what some of the words mean and stuff like that? You know, write your questions out in advance, so that way you have a platform to go from. So that way you stay on track and you don't get disorientated from the other side. You can always ask the same question in a different manner that's acceptable.
Yeah, that's true. I was just
Because you
hoping that he wasn't gonna make me go to trial. I was hoping he was gonna rule on my motion, either approve it or deny it. And then I stipulated to the fact, so there was no need to go to trial at that point.
Okay.
But
Did you know, Jasmine, that you were gonna go to trial on that day?
It was on the books, but I had filed my motion. It hadn't been answered to, so I didn't know what was about to happen. I thought they was gonna railroad me. So I knew trial was a possibility, but I thought maybe we could have got a continuance. I didn't know. Sometimes I just go in there and it's just like, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Okay, so that's because you're not moving the court in the direction that you want to move it then.
Well, I motioned to dismiss, and so he like stacked it. So he made it so that my motion was addressed before trial, but he didn't necessarily like allow me to really iron it out in a formal setting. So I think that was one of the things that I've messed up on, allowing him to move forward with trial.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry if I interrupted you, Cameron.
No, you did. No, you good.
Would it make sense that you would need to understand the terms you are enforcing?
Yes.
Okay. And if I'm not mistaken, you do take an oath to uphold the Ohio Constitution. Is that correct?
Correct.
And is it your understanding when enforcing laws that they have to be constitutional? So
That's sustained. Okay. Well, again, whether or not the officer believes the law is unconstitutional, it could cause for chaos if he doesn't want to enforce a law that's on the book.
Fair enough. Okay. Now, in regards to the difference between a vehicle and a motor vehicle, is it your training that you're supposed to understand that?
Yes.
Okay. And how frequently do you do retraining when there are updates to the legislation constantly?
I would say we have yearly training that we're given every year.
Okay.
It's through like doing CPTs, or it's like on online courses that we do. It goes through multiple different topics that we choose from.
So would it be fair to say, or let me ask you this, when is the last time you had a training?
last year.
Last year. Okay. Now there have been some House bills that have came out in the past few months. Have you done any training on the updates in regards to the definitions and of the motor vehicle laws?
Judge objection. She's asking about that.
Do you have, and can you provide, do you have?
They on your ass. They are on your ass. Objection.
Yeah.
On your ass. Oh, it's so good. I love it. Keep it going.
He was real mad. I'm not gonna lie, he was mad.
He on it. But those are the best. So you get it in there and it's just like, right. But they have to wait until you're finished asking the question anyways. So sometimes it's just good to get that seed in. Even if they're going to call an objection, let them call that shit. You know what I'm saying?
You're right.
Yeah.
Because obviously, we get bills all the time, and sometimes, if the House bill then would reflect potentially, if it's passed and signed by the governor, whatever statute, and the change of that statute, then we have to take that statute as well. So specifically in this House bill, what was in it, or can you show the court that is the basis of your argument?
So the House bill has released new definitions for the motor vehicle laws and the violations that would qualify as a traffic, basically it was actual traffic offenses that would, that could be escalated if you have multiple offenses. So there's just
most of them, unfortunately, for example, in the licensing law, right, they do have offenses for driving under suspension that if it's a certain number in a certain number of years, it goes from unclassified to a third degree to a first degree, and I will tell you that they never get there. Because that takes the officer time to have to go through the entire leads, see how many convictions a person may have. So they just cite the individual.
I would say objection at this moment.
You might be right.
The judge is practicing law. He's not supposed to be practicing law.
You are probably right. I probably should have been ejecting. I wasn't expecting him to ask me to explain my question because I didn't know really why I was asking. I was just, I was cooking,
It's the prosecution's job
as
to
people
ask
like
that
to say.
Isn't it true that as soon as the judge starts rambling like that, and or the prosecution, when he clearly showed he didn't know the case law, that they're fishing and they're on weak ground? That's what I always see. Every time they start rambling, they're on some kind of weak footing.
Yeah,
I would say that the judge wasn't necessarily, the judge knew exactly what the case said. It's a common case that they use for quote unquote sovereign citizens. So he was well aware of what it said. What he was trying to do was, because what I did is I raised constitutional challenges, and all of my constitutional challenges are grounded in law. So he cannot, when the prosecutor was alluding to calling me a sovereign citizen, and I call it out on the forefront, the judge is a presiding judge. He engages in judicial review. So it would be a violation to his oath of office and his position and his code of conduct to call me a sovereign citizen when I'm claiming rights under the Ohio Constitution. So he is trying to, what he was trying to think of was, how can I make this make sense without triggering a violation of my code of conduct?
Right.
So that's more so what was happening. That's why he's stumbling, both of them.
True.
It comes up on your lease, the first section of a non-compliance suspension. Even though you've been convicted of them prior, right? 99% of the men and women in blue and the tan for the Metropolitan now black, I believe, but any event, the uniforms I'm talking about, they just put that one offense in and that's it.
Okay.
So it's the escalation of that degree, which become an element of the offense. The expired plates and the registration, there's no escalation to this, regardless of how many times you've been, may have been convicted of it. Okay, so that escalation, if you will, would not apply to those type of offenses.
Okay, well, I have a question about the motor vehicle versus vehicle laws
Sure.
that he's charged to enforce. From your training, what is the difference in the vehicles that you are allowed to regulate in regards to vehicles versus motor vehicles?
Just in the form of a question again, Judge, we're getting into, he's a fact witness. He's not the General Assembly. He's not a lobbyist.
Well, I don't
Not a
think
judge.
that's-
I'm talking. I didn't interrupt you. So these questions are improper for this fact witness. He's just there to tell you what
So
happened.
let's go down to the point of what transpired, if you would, Ms. Preston, on the 16th day of February of this year.
Okay. From your observation, was there any indication that maybe my visibility may have been obscured because of the lack of headlights?
Yes, it's a requirement in the state law for 2 functional headlights.
No, I'm asking, was there anything from you that, me swerving, me going over marked lanes, was there anything that indicated that maybe I was unable to see?
Judge, again, objection. She wasn't cited for the headlights. She was cited for the expired plates.
Well,
So relevant question.
This is the public safety aspect of...
Doesn't matter. It's not the venue for this. Okay? It's just not. He's a
Oh my
fact.
God. Pause it. Okay, if you let this motherfucking was that the prosecutor?
It was the prosecutor. He was
Okay,
mad.
I am trying to establish for the record of line of reasoning and thought. Can you please stop and excuse me and allow me to question how I see fit?
I was a little frustrated on your behalf, Jasmine. That's
nigga
for
is
real. I was
crazy.
like,
Yeah, I was getting frustrated too. Like, dick. Objection.
Bro, niggas
He was
objecting
so
on your
mad.
line of questioning. Like, shut the fuck up and sit down and let me ask the questions to get to where I need to. You're talking about my line of questioning is irrelevant. She wasn't cited for that. That's great. I know I wasn't, but I have questions to lead up to it. So sit the fuck down, bro. Like, I'd be on their ass, my nigga.
Is there a way to hold the opposing party in contempt for disruption of your line of questioning?
I mean, you might as well address the court. I mean, Your Honor, I'm trying to ask a line of questioning here, and I keep getting interrupted on irrelevant, since we're talking about irrelevant objections.
I agree with all that.
And
What was the
ultimately, it'd
probable cause?
be Trinsley versus Pagliaro. Statements of counsel and motions or oral arguments are not facts before the court.
Exactly.
Say that
What's the
again.
probable cause? Why were we not asking this
Trinsley-
cop what was the probable cause?
Hold on, Wes. Trinsley versus Pagliaro. Statements from counsel in motions or in oral arguments are not facts before the court. So they're testifying to hearsay. They have no idea what happened. They weren't there. They're entering testimony without being sworn in and without having any firsthand knowledge,
Okay, so
which violates all
we're
court
at
rules.
trial.
Yep, it don't matter.
They swore the officer in. The officer is making a sworn testimony right now.
He's
Right,
not
but-
talking the officer.
how did
he's
the
talking
officer
the
get on-
The officer is making a
How
sworn
did the
testimony,
officer-
but the prosecutor is not.
The
Yeah,
prosecutor
Oh, I
cannot
see what you're saying. I see what you're
testify.
saying.
Prosecutor
Right. See,
cannot
how did the
testify,
cop get
and
to
he
the-
was testifying.
How did
Sorry,
the cop
man.
get to the stand in the first place? See, they're doing the same thing to me here because they got a statement that somebody else signed. They denied my habeas with another signature. Like this, it's ridiculous. But point is that the statements from opposing counsel that got the officer on the stand in the first place are hearsay. They don't. It doesn't matter. They're not facts before the court. It's
So
literally
is
all
there
100%
hearsay protection?
Right
What's
now,
protection?
no, because the prosecutor is essentially just raising an objection because he don't like the way I'm asking questions, and he was
But
more
he
so
would be
mad because like the judge has been kind of like he can tell the judge likes me, and that was really frustrating him. because he kept admiring all the things that I was doing in my motion and the stuff I was saying. And so like he was getting really frustrated because the only thing he came with was that I was a sovereign citizen in law. That's literally all he came with.
I
So the
agree, and
only thing he has
I
at this
agree with
point
that.
is the huh?
I agree with you, and I just think that I'm developing. I don't think it's all good. I'm enjoying this, but I'm just trying to think for future development because that's what this is all for. We just keep growing and building off of each other, and we develop and learn. And I'm just thinking to myself that there is an objection to the prosecutor interjecting. He can have an objection that's a valid objection, but he went on. And then he redirected your line of questioning, which was my problem.
Mm-hmm.
He
Isn't
redirected
there?
it back to a different section, and he did not know where your line of questioning was. And there is, I'm not all the way through the jurisdictionary course, but I just wanted to call that out because I thought that was very valid. There is he can call objection form, or objection, um, uh, uh, valid
Badgering the
cause.
witness.
No, not valid. No, valid
I'm
cause.
just giving an example.
And then
See,
it's
there. You finish.
okay. I'm gonna leave this piece because I think Alera's got input for me.
Well, the thought I was just having is just because he made an objection doesn't mean you can't clarify your side of it. And just because that's not what you're charged with, you're trying to determine the lead up to the stop and whether or not it was a lawful stop in the first place. So you could have objected his objection and clarified that exactly right there, that you're creating the events of what actually transpired to lead up to said citation that you received.
And always object 3 times.
And
If
I
he
don't.
overrules your
And
objection,
Jasmine, I don't think that this is a criticism at all. I think that you're giving a lot of really good clarity. I'm just saying, we have to build like that. We're not going to build Rome in a day. So I'm only saying this because you've gotten to a point where somebody's challenging irrelevant things, and so it's good for this. It's good for this group, and maybe we can continue this discussion. Hopefully, you can come back to the jurisdictionary course, but I think that's a very valid point. So I just want to point that out.
I agree. I think I definitely need to work on like being able to eject and like actually move to trial because obviously if I'm going to go to the appeal, more than likely I'm going to go to trial. So it definitely would be helpful to be able to like keep them in line when they get out of line like they do.
Yep.
For
Well,
sure.
and we already went over the objections in our class too, because that was one of I think that was our part 3 section. So we've already gone over that. So you will have to wait for objections until we come back to it again. But we are always going through the content. We're never going to stop. We will always go through it again and again so that new people can keep learning.
and if you really need it, Alera is more than open to help people go through a certain section of class that they've missed. Person one-on-one. But what I'm going to keep on harping on is where's the probable cause? Where is it? Where's the goddamn probable cause? Your Honor, I object. Where's the probable cause? Where's the probable cause? Because did you get a probable cause hearing?
The problem is that the
No, because
opposing
like,
side.
okay, so what happened was with this case,
No, wait. No, everybody needs to wait because probable cause really only in relation to a true crime. So a probable cause hearing would not be applicable in this situation. Although she could call for an evidentiary hearing of some sort in relation to seeing when the fruit of the poisonous tree would be suppressed, but no probable cause hearing would be brought forth in this limited jurisdiction court.
Lack of jurisdiction court.
On that
Well, they're
note, I'm
calling
gonna
it
keep
criminal.
Yeah.
rolling.
Some states are intelligent. Some states are intelligent and consider traffic civil right now. Not all of them, but some of them do.
There's certain portions in Texas where we live that, like the judge down there in Houston, that's on YouTube. They put his court
all the time, and he's doing a probable cause hearing as to why this person has been arrested, thrown in jail, and he does a probable cause hearing. And I see, at least 2 out of 3 of his cases he throws out for lack of probable cause. Like he says one time to a fella, "You were just walking while black." You know what I mean? They just grabbed him up, freaking arrested him, and found a whole bunch of marijuana on him. And he said, "There's no probable cause for what you just did to this man." So there are jurisdictions, county by county, that are actually following probable cause, and we have to challenge not just jurisdiction. We have to challenge the probable cause, because a headlight, that could be means to pull you over and say, "Hey, get this fixed. Just want to make sure you're safe." A tag, there's no public safety with a tag. There is for a headlight. Because as a truck driver, how the hell do I know I'm coming down the road at somebody that's not riding a motorcycle? And I have to swerve over a little bit to get away from a truck that's on the side of the road. And a motorcycle can get over a lot easier, a lot faster than a regular car can. I'm trying to avoid an accident on my right side. You're coming at me, you only got one headlight. I don't realize you're a car. Bam! We're in a big old accident now. And someone's going to die. Probably not me. So
That's not funny.
I would scratch that whole thing though, because that's a hypothetical, and it's
come on, man. This is hypothetical. It's okay. What I'm saying is
not law, bro.
When you
I'm sorry. Can we table this for just a second so we can? We're almost done. I promise, and then we can do.
Agree.
Thank you.
Sure.
Well,
yeah, I was going to note that too. There was no offense marked relative to an equipment violation, which would have been a headlight violation or tail light or a license plate violation, which they do commend. The sole aspect was a waiverable offense of expired plates.
Okay. And was there any, as far as the expired plate goes, can I ask if there's a public safety issue with the expired plates?
Judge, it's a strict liability, doesn't even require a culpable mental state, so.
Doesn't require a public safety aspect?
No.
Oh.
It's a General Assembly issue, it's not a fact witness issue.
Okay, my apologies again.
No, you're fine.
Well, I have no further questions for you.
Anything across?
No redirect, Your Honor. Now that this officer's been up all night on duty, so can I send him on his way?
I was going to have him, I was going to grill him. But yeah, the next 3 hours or so. You may step down. So thank you for your service. And sorry for your loss as well. Thanks, sir.
So, you might want to stop and see Steve Deborah before we ball. He's in trial on that other one next door. Okay, so just sit out there until he gets there. Just sit outside? Yeah. All right.
Now, Your Honor, if I can.
Anything further?
Judge, thank you. We rest.
Now.
Okay. If I could just mention that in regards to, protecting me as a state citizen, my rights, my inalienable rights as mentioned in the Ohio Constitution, it is a requirement of the police officers to have a public safety issue. So that was the main basis for my questions, is just making sure that he was in compliance in regards to his oath to office to make sure he's upholding my right to liberty in a public safety aspect. And without the public safety issue to infringe on my right to liberty, I'm saying that it would have been an unconstitutional as applied charge for the expired plate.
Thank you for your statement and your somewhat closing argument there. Okay, but I appreciate that. You don't wish to testify, is that correct, under oath?
Correct.
Thank you. Your closing argument, even though she's already given you some...
That's fine, Judge. Okay, for purposes of a trial, constitutional arguments are not proper. They're raised by pretrial motions.
Which she has done.
Which she has done. But for purposes of this trial, and the trial issues, is factually undisputed December 16, 2025, in the city of Rock River, Cuyahoga County, Ohio, on I-90, near the Hilliard exit, that the defendant was driving a car with expired plates, which is in violation of 335.10 subsection D. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, for the purpose of, I don't know if this is because you have to go into your finding of facts, or because.
Oh, I'm going to make a ruling from the bench here. Okay, if I do that, I don't have to espouse on, I don't have to bring it back to my chambers and write an opinion.
So as far as my motion, I did include that my arraignment was not even 7 days ago. I did file my motion in order to try to get and I did reach out to the prosecutor personally to give them a heads up that I would be bringing up certain arguments at court, and for them to actually have a genuine chance to be able to respond to it. And I did put in my motion that, the fact that they scheduled me for trial without allowing me to be heard on my motion.
Do you know why we scheduled it for trial?
She said it was a speedy trial.
Because you didn't waive time.
Because I didn't wait time, right.
Yeah, so you have the right to a speedy trial.
Mm-hmm.
And each degree of offense has a certain time limit to it. Okay, so in calculating when you receive the ticket, when you, the capias or warrant for failing to appear tolls some time, and then, you're in custody and you were then arraigned. So I got the case, I set the trial to protect your speedy trial rights.
Now, it is, from my understanding, a speedy trial. As far as why it was delayed does play a factor, and as far as the delay was on my account because as I did fail to show.
Right.
So,
okay. So that tolls the speedy trial aspect, And I pride myself on having a very up-to-date, well-run docket.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in 18 years, I have not dismissed a case because of the speedy trial aspect. I get my trials done, okay? And you're not alone. When people don't, I have lawyers that won't waive time, okay? And I'll set it for trial the next week. I have lawyers that will waive time to the first pretrial. Well, that first pretrial becomes a final pretrial, and I set it for a jury.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens, they come in and okay, Judge, I'm not sure what CLE that they got that information from. But I said, if you don't want to waive time, I said, because waiving time is to your convenience in a sense, okay? And I could put that in because I have part-time prosecutors here. Mr. O'Shea is the law director for the city of Rock River. He was the former prosecutor here, and he's hired a prosecutor as well, and he loves to come back into court and prosecute things. And he's always on my docket. I don't know whether it's because Mr. Dever doesn't want to be with me or that Mr. O'Shea does. And I'm still debating that. But any event, we try to make sure that, and trust me, I try to do everything in my power to make sure that individuals' rights are protected. It doesn't matter to me the outcome of, the only thing, the skin in this game that I have, that when my parties walk through that back door after a hearing or a trial, they feel they got a fair shake. Okay? And I'm hoping, regardless of how I rule to both of you, that both of you will walk out and say, Hagen did okay. All right? But, and as I said, so understanding, and I will tell you too, are we through? Is it my time? Is it my turn?
Go ahead.
There are many things that come out of the legislature that we look at as judges and say, I'm not sure about this. And we try to stave them off in committee. We'll go down and testify.
He's giving you so much love, though, on the cool.
And say to them what you're trying to do.
Like, he giving you love right there. Like, you see how these small little things he's telling you, he's telling you internally he kind of agree with you.
That's what he said.
I'm hearing it. Like, I hear it in every tone. Like, yep.
Yeah, but he also said in 18 years he hasn't dismissed the case because of a lack of speedy trial.
Well, I wasn't arguing a speedy trial issue. He was trying to, because I made claims that they were violating my due process rights.
Yeah.
So he's actually he's defending why he's scheduled my case so soon, even though my arraignment was only 7 days ago, which didn't give me time to be able to really iron out my motion. So he's just basically trying to,
Okay.
what they say, cover his ass or something like that. So that's what you're hearing now.
Yep.
He's trying to elude, like, oh, well, it wasn't that I was trying to
And
violate her due process rights by scheduling it quickly. I just didn't, she didn't waive speedy trial. So that's why he's kind of cutting me off when I'm talking about how it tolls, how, time is told every time I file a motion and things like that. And he's like, he don't want me to talk about that because
of course.
that
Right.
doesn't fit his
Right.
narrative. So yeah, that's what you're hearing now.
Here, I understand what you're doing, but the way you're going about is that there's conflicts with this statute, and once you get into conflicts, then you talk about the constitutionality aspect. When you talk about public safety, the first thing that comes to mind is me, Miss O'Neill, all right, Mr. Ward, there. That's going to be a senior at Dartmouth, and
Object. He just says
how
comes to
people are
mind.
driving their cars, licensed, insured, regulated. Because if I do it. My cars are licensed and tagged, and I'm licensed, and I'm afraid someday they may take my license away because I'm going to be too old. And I'm insured because if I operate that car in a negligent manner and I injure someone, it just puts a whole different liability aspect on, the whole outcome of that.
Does the ticket say that I was uninsured?
No, you're insured, which is, again, I'm sitting there thinking, God, she's got a license, she's insured, but she doesn't want to pay the $50 for a tag,
Well, because my goal is not to be a nuisance. It's just more so if I can save as much money as possible.
Yeah, I understand that, but you know what? Then you get into a situation here that, and I'm sure you're enjoying, your eloquent.
Well, it's so funny that you
can
state
have-
that you don't want to be a nuisance, but yet they're being a nuisance unto you. It's literally a private nuisance. We went over that in the advanced course too, and how important truly a private nuisance is. Man. What?
I'm just listening.
They,
No,
they
it's
are being a nuisance, Cam, and because she has a insurance, she just doesn't have a tag. And then if the state wants you to have all of this, actually they're making you an employee. Tell them to pay for it for you.
You're right. Ask them for some money since they want to make me get all this stuff and infringe on my rights.
Now check it. From the Commonwealth versus King, quote, a nuisance is a state of affairs. To conduct a nuisance is a tort. The right of the public on the common highway is paramount and controlling. This right extends to the entire territory within its limits, and an obstruction placed upon any part of it constitutes a public nuisance. Nuisance defined. Nuisance consists in unlawfully doing an act or omitting to perform a duty, which act or omission either annoys, injures, or endangers the comfort, repose, health, or safety of others, offends decency, or unlawfully interferes with, obstructs, or tends to obstruct, or render dangerous for passage any lake or navigable river, bay, stream, canal, basin, or any public park, square, street, or highway, or in any way renders other persons insecure in life or in the use of the public property. Do you see, like, that first one was coming out of the law applied? No, both of them are. They're both coming out of, no. First quote was coming out of the law applied to motor vehicles in Babbitt, which is very important, coming out in circa 1911. And it was citing Morton versus Moore, 81 Mass 573. So, like, a nuisance really can be important because you can tie it right back into life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I think that's where the core element, like, a lot of what was going down was statutory arguments within the court rather than constitutional violations in correlation to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Because just you taking your time there and having to argue that is a violation of your life, liberty, and your self-governance. Just the fact that you have to try and argue with this court that truly has no jurisdictional power over you, it's just like, I don't know. That's how I look at it, though. I just look at it on a deeper level. I don't know. It's weird.
I don't disagree with you, Cam. I'm just trying to, I was just, like I said, when I do these things, I don't know what's going to happen. So I just like to, now I'm just playing it out and seeing what works and what doesn't. So,
Okay, no, you're right. And what I like about what you're doing, to be honest with you, is that you're not like depending on nobody else but yourself. Like that right there is really cool. Like a lot of people depend too much and hope and pray rather than just like taking what they've been given and then going out and getting it, right? And I see that a lot. So what I will say is like I commend you because there are people like you, Lana, and several others who take what they can get and they just go. They're like, "Oh, I needed that piece. Now and they running with it. And so to see you kind of do that, I mean, we've never talked, have we?
no.
I ain't developed nothing with you. Like, but look at what you out here doing, right? You out here you have the judge looking at you in a manner that's like, yo, like, so I think you just, yeah, once you sharpen up on just, I guess, the deeper aspects of it, I think you'll start pulling more on the liberty and the deeper American duty and ministerial duty that they even have, right? As judges to uphold your rights more than the statutory arguments that are being brought forth. Because as much as this prosecutor wants to stand on that, if you're arguing more of that, the judge is leaning more of that. If you start pulling yourself out of the statutory framework, 8.3, and into the constitutional framework, right? Now we're arguing. See, nowhere in here were we arguing life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. Truly, we were arguing statutory definitions in laws and codes. So there was no mention, as you say, when you say nuisance, of it actually being a tort against your liberty and the pursuit of your happiness, right? When he states such as, well, it's only a $50 thing. Well, it could be only a $50 thing, but it's my choice to engage in that $50 privilege, whether I want to or not. You see what I'm saying? It may only be $50, but I have the choice to engage in that or not. And if you're saying that the administration of me, as far as like punishment is concerned, especially when I'm not doing commerce or profit whatsoever, it's like you're telling me that I don't have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Like I'm not one of the people. It's essentially like a bias saying that I am required to do something. And in all honesty, Your Honor, I think any administration of a free man or woman would be honestly repugnant to their freedom and their right to self-governance. So it's just for me, I'm not trying to argue their statutes. I'm trying to argue or bring forth and make them realize that I haven't harmed nobody. There is no guilty mind with a guilty act. And my constitutional rights have been violated because every interaction with these cops damn near is a constitutional violation. When you got judges coming out this year from, John, the civil rights attorney guy, literally they cannot even ask you to get out the car. Did they ask you to get out the car, Jasmine?
No.
Okay, you didn't get your car towed?
No, not this day, no.
Oh, not this day. Okay. I'm getting too confused then. So
this one, they
let you
gave
drive
me a
off?
ticket. Yeah.
Well, it was just an expired sticker.
Most of the time, they let me just go drive off. The only times they towed my car was because this was the court that I had a warrant for. So that's why they picked me up. And this wasn't the city that towed my car. It was another city. I was in South Euclid. So the city of South Euclid towed my car because I had a warrant in this city, to clarify
Oh
that.
man, that's horrible.
Yeah, it was. It was absolutely awful. And then I can talk about that story another time, but more or less what I do is not necessarily arguing statutes and codes. What I'm doing is trying to put the framework of why they should use the rule of lenity in my favor. That's more so what I'm setting it up as from what it sounds like, but I haven't like properly, because I don't get to talk about these things like verbally. All this stuff just goes on in my head, so I have these conversations with ChatGPT and I can write these documents really well, but like when I actually get in front of them, I stumble over my words, and sometimes I get lost. I get out of track of like
No, you did
where I
good.
should go.
No, you did good. I don't even really hear you too much stumbling on your words. I mean, you did really good as far as everything is concerned. It's just the prosecutor was just hella attacking, and that was wild. I can't believe the objections I was hearing him say. That was weird. So
I'll go ahead and finish it up for everybody, and then we can resume the conversation.
Take away is that, when you, in your service copy to the prosecuting attorney, you said it was a petition for discovery instead of a motion to dismiss. So, if you're using you got to be careful when you're using your pre-prepared arguments and stuff like that. Okay, so, so you had a motion to dismiss, and then there was a petition for discovery, so that you served. And I think Mr. O'Shea or Mr. Devers looking for that petition for discovery. Okay, so and the one thing too that sort of puts a flag up relative to the sovereign is that when you come in and you go impropriety persona, okay, basically if you came in by yourself, it's called pro se. Okay, a pro se litigant is a person that's not represented by an attorney. But when you start doing the impropriety persona, all of a sudden then you start using the terms of the sovereign citizen language, which is not recognized by our courts, okay, at all.
So as I was doing research, I understand that there is a difference in terms, and when you say things like pro se and stuff like that, it can appear that you're, what is it?
You're not admitting anything except for the fact that you're before the court without an attorney, period. Okay. That's it.
Okay.
We do not read, you're not giving up any right. When you walked in this courtroom this morning at 10 o'clock, you came in as an innocent individual that until Mr. O'Shea proves his case beyond a reasonable doubt on a conviction, okay? So when I arraign people, it could be the most heinous act. They're before me innocent. Right? All I'm doing is giving them their rights until we get to this position here.
I appreciate that.
Now the other aspect would have been too, because Ms. O'Neill was asking me whether I should have you discuss. I said, what are they going to discuss? I said, you can't get any lower than an expired tag, in this courtroom, outside of having a complete dismissal, at your cost, so it will still cost you money, if that was the offer, and that's, obviously that wasn't the offer when it came in, but in any event, hearing the arguments and hearing the stipulation of the facts that were on the citation and having an officer under oath, you must agree that the elements of the offense of expired license has been proven beyond a reasonable doubt. Now the address is whether or not I agree with your argument relative to whether it is unconstitutional because of the vagueness and
or conflict.
Or the conflict, yes. And, but I do believe that as I stated in my preamble, that the state revised code even defines personal or
the vehicle and motor vehicle?
But a passenger vehicle, okay, it defines that. And that's something that could have 9 or less people, transports 9 or less people, right?
What does that mean, right?
Well, I think we have a general sense of what the intent of the legislature was, what the intent of the council members of the city of Rocky River when they adopted their codified ordinances, that those things that have 4 wheels on it, at least, and or 2 wheels that move individuals from one place to another, whether you term it to be a vehicle, a motor vehicle, or automobile, passenger vehicle, whatever it's going to be.
Well, can I make an objection to that? Because
you'll have your right to do that. It's called the Court of Appeals, okay? So, so their intent was to make sure that anyone who is running those, operating those, whatever that is, have those vehicles, register. And the thing would be that, let's say, for example, this wasn't even your car, all right? And when your friend, when you're driving, your friend didn't get the tags from you, you're responsible for that because you're the one that put it on the roadway, okay? Not your friend, even though they're going, oh my God, thanks for letting me. Didn't you know your tags are expired or what have you? So I am going to enter a finding of guilt. I'm going to deny your motion to dismiss. And is there anything you wish to say before I throw the book at you?
The only thing I would say is that when you blur the lines between the legislature's intent to regulate motor vehicles and vehicles, especially in regards to public safety, I know there are certain laws when it comes to driving under the influence. The legislature is very clear that they don't want any vehicles on the road when it comes to driving under the influence because it has a public safety aspect to it. So they're very clear when it comes to public safety, the laws that they do not restrict to just motor vehicles. However, when it comes to licensing, and we're talking about suspended license for financial responsibility, or you're talking about expired plates, or you're talking about the headlights and things like that, where it's not really a public safety aspect, it's just, maybe I'm not really sure why they have motor vehicle laws, maybe
to regulate safety, and regulate, if we didn't have it, could you imagine driving on 90 and people be going the wrong way all the time, or...
Well, in that sense, those laws do have all vehicles, it's stipulated to all vehicles, so those laws have a public safety aspect, and the legislature's intent is to make sure that all vehicles are operating safe on the roads. So that's, when you blur the lines between those definitions.
Okay, well, let's say, for example, too, would you want somebody that, puts together a bunch of car parts from a junkyard and gets a motor and puts it on, and the chassis from one place, and fenders from one vehicle, and grills from another, and it's not really the same car, and he puts that on the roadway, do you think that's worth to be driven?
Does it move?
Yeah, they do it all the time. It's called a kit car.
People that have off-road vehicles just like that on a farm, and they know
true.
that they can't bring it out on the street because it's not licensed to be on the roadway. Okay, it's going to be $55 fine cost, which would have been your waiver fine had you paid it online. Okay.
Okay.
So we go downstairs to the cashiers and go to pay your fine cost.
You know how they construe everything in the comments?
If I can do this on the record, I would like to say the judgment pending an appeal.
All right, what I want you to do then, I'm going to issue an appellate bond on the amount of the fines and the cost. Okay? So whatever the total fines and costs are, okay, you post that. I don't want a promissory note via Barton Ripple, and I had someone do that. But either cash or credit card, debit card, okay? So yes, you have every right, to appeal my wisdom-based judgment.
Absolutely, you were fair, and I appreciate you listening to me.
Oh, no, it was an honor to hear your arguments and the work that you put in. I realize that we should be commended for that.
Thank you.
To me, it was barking at the wrong tree, but I understand, okay? And it was I thank you for that. All right. You have some amazing talents that would just, steer you in the right direction. I think you'd do well in a law firm.
Unbelievable. I don't think this guy was giving her much love.
That was more or less the end of it. What were you saying, Danny? Sorry.
I just don't think he was giving you some courtesy and love. Like Cam, you were pointing out, there were moments I really thought so, but he always had this as a final aim to get to this moment. And everything he did was in furtherance of that. So, but you did amazing, Jasmine.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would say that overall he made the I don't know. It's like I want to say that he made that finding because now that I understand administrative versus a presiding judge, I finally realized that I should have asked him how he was
Presiding.
judging my case.
Right.
And by not asking that cornering question, to basically see if he's handling my case administratively, and based on the things that he was doing with the speedy trial, for the purpose of saying like, well, you know, the prosecutor did meet his burden without without reasonable doubt, and like the way he was blending the words and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's the merging of basically their equity and common law sort of. But yeah. But ultimately, he was administratively handling things, paying the minimal contact courtesy to the constitutional common law requirements. Yep. In my
Now,
opinion.
what I should have done is what I do when I do a lot more now is ask them on the record, are you administrating on my case or are you presiding over my case?
Right.
And try to get them to answer that question, because either way it goes, if they're administrating my case, well, you're not currently operating in the jurisdiction where you're able to hear constitutional arguments. That's
Correct.
not even your venue.
Correct.
But if you're acting in your presiding or judicial role, now you have to engage in judicial review because I'm challenging the constitutionality of the ordinance. So you have a duty to answer these constitutional challenges.
Which
and so
framework?
either way it goes.
Go ahead, Cam, steer it. Which
Sorry.
what?
No, I was just going to say it's which framework are we operating under? Statutory or constitutional? Either or. That simple.
Wow.
We
Yeah,
got this
that's a
back. We
powerful
got
one.
this all the way back with Luis back in November.
Right.
Well, Luis, you brought forth an 8.3 statutory motion to dismiss. If you would have came through and brought forth a notice and demand to dismiss as unconstitutionally applied, we would be having those constitutional conversations. Under the statutory framework, I have to take it in this manner. But if you would have brought it forth in that, then we could have gone into that other body of law.
Which he still would have tried to railroad. Those guys don't want this at all. But you're right. That's exactly what they're always doing. So this cat was administering at the end of the day.
Under statutory framework.
Yep. Bam.
I'm pretty sure he said that he's not able to hear constitutional arguments in there early on.
Yeah, the prosecutor said that too.
Am I the only one? Did
No,
you hear
the
that?
prosecutor was saying that the officer, it's not his job to talk about anything that has to do with like the interpretation of the law and things like that. That's the judge. He was like, that's your job.
And overly broad. We'll have to go case by case. He needs to answer a minimum amount of contact with his constitutional responsibility. He declared an oath to it. Anything to the contrary as a licensee member of the state, foreign agent. It's outrageous. Sorry.
By ignorance or design.
Yep.
In that case,
outrageous. Yep.
If he doesn't know anything about the law, how can he cite you?
Right.
Well, they do put little asterisks. So they say like, oh, he is allowed to charge based on his knowledge and how he interprets the law.
But is it ever
That's an
put
overly
through
broad
a
administrative
filter?
state.
But it
is.
Except he's not allowed to know it.
But it's never put through the first filter of constitutional rights. That's the whole problem here.
Nah, it's that we're not. No. It's not that they are supposed to do that. We're supposed to invoke that.
Well, correct.
A little bit of both.
Correct.
That's why I say that. That's why it's hold
a little bit of both.
Hold on. That's why it's so important to bring in judicial notice. Okay, so the playing fields on that aspect. Now, what I want to do is I want to say, Jasmine, you did an amazing job. I'm so proud of you. You did fabulous. I think everybody here would think so too. Everybody tell Jasmine how amazing she did.
Great job, hon. You did wonderful.
You did great.
It's all good practice.
Yeah, for first time.
Amazing,
Jasmine, you
did a great
killed it.
job. Mad props. Mad respect and props.
Thank
killed
you
it.
for
Hold
sharing,
your-
Jasmine.
Yeah, you hold yourself real
toes down,
proper.
spirit of excellence. You did that.
For real. Yeah, the confidence was there. You can just see it like, whoa, wait, give me a couple more times. I know
She
she's like,
held herself, huh? Holy cow.
You're a force to be reckoned with for sure. Absolutely.
Yes.
You did great. Good job.
Yeah, you didn't get held in contempt and spend 3 weeks in jail. So that's cool.
Yeah. Good job on that one.
Well,
All right, check it.
Tony.
Check it.
Contempt of court. That's bullshit.
Jasmine, any closing words you want to do as we end the session for YouTube?
Just, read. It's always going to be your best friend, because a lot of times when they file stuff, and attorneys will do this, they'll file cases that don't necessarily apply, or they're making subliminal, slurs against you through law.
Yeah, I mean they like to bring charges against you for statutes that aren't even codified. I mean, where do they do that at?
I would say don't be afraid of an appeal.
Right.
Sometimes that's where you got to take it. One thing my grandma told me, she was like, the lady, she didn't want to give me my car, and she was like, go back in there and ask for a supervisor. She was like, I'm not trying to hear that from you. I need to hear that from someone above you. So that's pretty much what I'm doing here is, I hear what you're saying, but somebody above you gonna have to tell me the same thing. So I'm taking it to appeal. So that's pretty much what you got to do. Hey, I want to hear your boss say that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, the more times you go through the process, the more experience you're going to get, and the wiser you're going to get. You're going to start to pick up on all the subtle things that you can do. And I mean, literally just last week when I had court, there were 60 people in the courtroom. I'm Wilson, right? I walk across the bar. I'm sitting back there with the attorneys. They kick my ass out. And I'm like, damn, bro, I can't wait here all day. I go up and right at the bar, I'm like, Your Honor, and I'm interrupting. I gotta go pick up my daughter, so y'all gonna have to call me. And what do we got going? A quick continuance. And I haven't posted this one yet. I ain't posted it. I think I got the recording. But yeah, sometimes you just gotta be that. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta be that and act it and feel it, and don't be hesitant to be that, which is the highest of all authority, and you can operate, and people notice it. When you start acting like it and you don't question things, you just do as you do. I'm telling you, man, the attraction comes. They recognize it and they see it, and it's like a charm, but it's also like a knowing, right? That's the best way I can put it right now. What I want to say is good night, YouTube. I hope y'all enjoyed Jasmine. She did an amazing job. Everybody say goodbye, YouTube.
Bye, YouTube.
Bye,
Good night, YouTube.
Bye,
Have
YouTube.
wonderful dreams.
Bye, YouTube. You're
And
missing
YouTube,
out.
YouTube, I want y'all to remember, y'all can always join Operation Wisedome by going to www.piitp.com. That stands for Power Inherent in the People.com. And then I just want y'all to remember, I am you, we are us, all a part of the great I am. Y'all end it with an I am real quick.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I am that I
I
am.
am.
I am.
I am you.